Inside the magical realm, a world that was blessed by the gods and protected by the dragons, there was an existence that defied the natural order of the universe, a brain-dead moron called Mash. Throughout his life, he had lived with his father in isolation. But while he was enjoying his peace, Mash broke through the door, apologizing because he forgot whether to push or pull it open. However, he promised that he would fix it, but began smashing the door back, and after pounding it in and out repeatedly, the entire door broke apart. Although Roger had grown used to how useless his son was, he continued to take care of him, without ever revealing to Mash that he was the only one unable to use magic. This was why all of Mash's training was physical, and before Roger left the house, he reminded him once again that he must never venture into the city. So Mash promised that he won't. Well, that was all bullshit. Today was the release of the Goblin Cream Puff, and he wasn't going to live without it. But as he walked around the city and saw everyone using magic, he knew that he could do all of their tricks with his hands. As he reached the bakery, the smell of the cream puffs made him excited, but when he tried paying for his order, all of the coins were bent in half. The baker wondered how that was humanly possible, but Mash took the coins back to fix them, snapping the steel back in place, and the man screamed at what he just witnessed. After handing him his cream puffs, a gust of wind blew his hat off, revealing Mash's face. In that moment, everyone grew afraid of him, as he was the only one without a mark. Meanwhile, a police officer was torturing a disgusting criminal after reading about this year's Divine Visionary, a title granted to the greatest magic users in the realm. Just then, his phone rang, alerting him that there was an unmarked child walking around. While Mash continued wondering why his grandfather never allowed him to leave their cabin, he bumped into this fat-ass dickhead, who threatened to arrest him before throwing his cream puff away. As he kept screaming about his uniform being ruined, Mash used his Giga Chad muscles to rip his shirt off, apologizing and promising to wash his clothes for him. However, Brad Coleman appeared in that moment, realizing that Mash must have been the unmarked child walking around. But before he could question him, Roger stole him away. And as soon as he was gone, Brad realized that this was his chance to finally earn a promotion, casting a magical bird to tail them into the forest. Back inside their cabin, Roger began yelling at Mash for sneaking off, but seeing how broken up he was about it, he decided to only punish him by repeating his morning routine. After Mash agreed and gave him the cream puffs as a gift, he began walking through the door. But Roger already knew how this was going to end, and opened the door to let him out. Once he was gone, he knew that it was only natural for Mash to want to go out, since he was now a teenager. But as he looked outside of his window, he saw the magical bird staring at him, as an explosion went off from the corner of his home. After the dust settled, Brad appeared with his subordinates, wondering where Mash went off to. In the forest, a squirrel felt something was off, and saw Mash playing around with the weights like it's a toy. Although it never knew what weights were, the poor squirrel knew that this creature was the scariest beast in the forest. After finishing his workout in 5 minutes, he forgot if he was supposed to pull or push his door open. But before he would destroy it, he heard Brad's voice from inside, telling Roger that his job was to rid this world from the inferior magicless demons. After all, magic was a gift from the gods, so as he threw Roger away, he told him that his son rejected God's blessings, but promised to spare him if he revealed Mash's location. Even so, Roger would never allow them to know where Mash was, because throughout his life, his family had disowned him for being a failure at using magic, and all of his bosses fired him for being useless. His life would never change, and he ended up on a cliff where he was about to passionately hug the ground. But as he was about to, he heard the voice of an annoying kid crying in the back. When he turned around, he realized that this kid didn't have a mark on its face, and thought that they were alike. As that baby smiled back at him, Roger realized that for the first time in his life, he was needed by someone, so he swore that even if they weren't related by blood, he would become Mash's father. So as Brad came closer, Roger screamed louder for Mash to run away, but Brad kicked him to the side, and as he was about to end his life, Mash broke through the door, knocking one of the officers into the other side of the forest. As he got back up, he ripped off the other officer's shirt again, and began slapping his fat ass face, before knocking him unconscious. When Roger wondered why he still came back, Mash revealed that they were family, so he would never give up on him, and swore to send anyone who tried separating them to hell. However, Brad activated his spell that drove away a dragon. But as he launched the sphere, Mash moved faster than the speed of light, slapping the blast of pure energy to the side. so Brad prepared to release his ultimate attack that would burn the entire cabin away. But after launching it, Mash slapped it to the other side of the forest. Every single attack, he would deflect it as if he was playing volleyball, juggling them like a clown, and even dribbling the sphere as if he graduated straight out of Blue Lock. But when he picked up a wand, Brad realized that he might be able to use magic after all, so he tried to cast his legendary class shield. But Mash took a pitching stance and used his skinny wand to penetrate Brad's barriers. He swore that he would kill him the next time he threatened his family, so seeing his powers, Brad decided to make a deal with him, promising to spare his grandfather. Every year, a divine visionary is selected by the School of Magic, so if he attends the Magic Academy and gets selected as chosen by God himself, society will be forced into accepting him, and Brad would gain the money that came along with it. But if he were to reject, society would continue trying to kill him and his father, so Mash accepted the deal, swearing that if the world wouldn't allow him to live in peace with his father, then he would crush the world itself with his fist. The following day at the Easton Magic Academy, Mash had entered the application exam with a fake mark on his face, and as Lucci recognized some of the worthless ugly applicants, he began hearing the banging of metal, until he saw Mash destroying world records instead of preparing for the exam. However, he thought he must have been imagining it, but then saw him doing the invisible chair, and wondered what the fuck was up with the mentally ill morons behind him. Even so, he thought it would be easy to expel him, so he unleashed his flames to appear before the students, and all of them thought he must be extremely powerful. At that moment, Lucci began summoning desks from the ground, and the test papers flew from the sky with their quills to the side, making everyone realize he was the greatest professor alive.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
The exam began, but as everyone realized that the words were squirming around, Lucci revealed that their first test was to dispel the curse on the paper, making Roger and Brad wonder how they ever came up with this brain-dead plan. However, Mash commanded the words to stop moving, but nothing happens.
Sensational.
Being the first person to complete the test, Lucci realized it was perfect, so Mash went on to pass the rest of the tests by running on water and even levitating the rock with his fingers. Thinking that Mash was mocking him, Lucci decided to unleash a maze from the ground, with mythical deadly monsters and a 30-minute time limit to reach the end. Mash thought this would be easy, but the hot love interest decided to enter. She begged him to help her because she would give him some top as a reward. The mushroom head decided to take her along, but she tripped on a rock and fell on her worthless face, and a bunch of goblins appeared and were about to turn this show into Goblin Slayer. Before long, he realized this useless bitch was slowing him down, so as he tried running away, she cast a spell to lock him up, revealing that she had a reason to keep him away from reaching the end. However, Mash used his Gigachad muscles to break through the chains and sprinted away. But as Lemon was shocked with his powers, a massive deity appeared, asking her what has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs at night. However, Lemon had no idea what the answer was, so as she was screaming for help before being killed, she realized that no one would help her since she was the one deceiving others. But as she apologized to the mushroom head, Mash dashed back, saying that a creature like that didn't exist, before eliminating the deity. When she asked him why he came back, he revealed that he felt sorry for her, since she must have had her reasons for trying to stop him. With only 30 seconds remaining, Lucci knew that it was over for Mash, but all of the students began hearing a massive banging noise, and Mash managed to break through the 1-meter thick walls to finish the test. All of the students thought he was cheating, and began screaming at Mash to go home, so the poor guy started wanting to go home too. But as all the students began abusing him, Lemon screamed that it wasn't his fault, revealing that she was coerced by the professor to make Mash fail, since her family was too poor to allow her to attend. Even so, Mash still saved her and then asked her to marry him. She kept saying that he wanted to mash her juices out, but Mash wondered when he ever came up with any of that. However, Lucci confessed that he was trying to make Mash fail, since he was the examiner after all, and unleashed his ultimate spell, promising to kill both of them off. Roger and Brad wondered how he managed to break the wand. But as Lucci screamed back, the principal of the school appeared, initiating the final stage of the exam. Among all the students, Mash was the first to be interviewed, and Wahlberg went on to ask him why he saved the girl, even though she betrayed him while he was running out of time. Mash felt that he would have regretted leaving her behind, but Wahlberg wondered what he would have done if he wouldn't have been able to break through the walls or defeat the Sphinx. After all, there were creatures that were much more powerful than him in this world, and went on to summon the divine abomination, as a spear began heading towards a doll, revealing that it contained the soul of his father inside. If the knife were to stab, his father would be erased from this world. But as Mash tried punching at it, he realized that he couldn't stop it from moving. However, he began trying to pick up the spear, knowing that it was only a battle of endurance before his mana ran out. This type of person was what Wahlberg had always looked for, one who was powerful and used his strength to help the weak, a true example of the noblesse oblige mantra. After that, he concluded the test, but Mash decided to answer his question of what he'd do facing someone who was stronger than him, saying that even if he needed to face the headmaster again, he would knock his face out with his fist. Everyone screamed at his insolence, but Wahlberg welcomed him to the Easton Magic Academy. During his first class, some ugly, disgusting hag began showing the losers how to open a lock using magic, and asked them to try it out. The teacher wondered what he was doing in a magical school, but Mash said that God was dead, and the guy next to him thought Mash was really bad news. From outside, a group of students stared slyly at Mash. On his way back, Finn hoped that he could be roommates with anyone except Mash, but when he went back to his room, he wondered where the door went.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
After Finn introduced himself, Mash went on to introduce all of his muscles as well, before asking him how to become a divine visionary. So Finn went on to reveal that this was actually Spy Family, saying that a person had to collect 10 gold coins in order to qualify for the divine visionary exam. But Mash's brain had already been fried by all the information. However, he was glad that Finn was a great guy, and handed him a cream puff to celebrate their new friendship. A few weeks later, Mash had a broomstick challenge coming up, so he asked Finn if he could borrow his broomstick, because instead of buying a broomstick, the bonehead bought a burdock accidentally. During class, the teacher introduces everyone to their objective of the day, and everyone begins calling forth their broomstick to start flying. Mash looks at his broomstick and commands it to fly. It doesn't listen, so he continues commanding it to fly. A kid comes up and asks him how he isn't even able to fly a broomstick. So Mash strikes the ground with his foot to make the broomstick fly and then commands it to fly. He thinks Mash was cheating, but Mash pretends like he has no idea what's going on. To save himself from embarrassment, he challenges Mash to a race on the broomstick. What Mash doesn't know is that this kid is the best broomstick rider in the entire academy. The teacher wonders how this klutz from yesterday's class is even able to fly, but she begins the race. Mash instantly finishes the race, and the guy wonders where he went wrong in his life. The teacher is impressed by his speed to set a world record. A mysterious man viewed this happening, and Finn knows the truth. Mash threw his broom at light speeds and jumped towards it to mount it in midair. This show is f***ing ridiculous. The student accuses Mash of cheating, but Mash tells him to face the facts already because he feels bad for him. Infuriated, the student is about to start yelling at Mash, but a magical ability restrains his mouth. The blonde kid comes and apologizes on his friend's behalf. His name is Cavill, and everyone in the class fears this guy. Cavill asks him if he would like to be friends and introduces himself, but Mash thinks he looks like a cabbage. So Cavill tells Mash to come see him here after school. Outside of class, Cavill beats up his friend for embarrassing him and not following orders, but at least he found a fun toy. While walking with Finn, Mash asks him who this Cavill is and why everyone is afraid of him. Finn reveals that his father is inside the Bureau of Magic, the most important entity in this world. Mash of course knew all about it, and Finn goes on to reveal that Cavill has close tied with the vice principal, so they will expel him if he defies Cavill. After school, Mash prepares cream puffs while wearing a pink apron because he's a Giga Chad. He wishes his grandpa would taste his nice white cream. Mash feels like he's forgetting something, but his cream puffs were too important. The next day in class, Mash's notebook is all torn and Cavill's lackeys laugh at him. Cavill approaches him and asks him why he didn't show up yesterday. Cavill reveals he's heard that Mash wants to become a divine visionary and promises to put a good word in for him. His only condition is to follow his orders, so Mash goes on to do every single thing that Cavil requests of him, and Finn notices. Still, his notebooks continue being torn up, and Mash asks Finn for his notebooks. Finn tries to reject, but Mash instantly teleports and takes his notebook and calls him a lifesaver. He hands him some cream puffs as a thank you, and then goes on to say that he's real glad to have a great guy like Finn as his friend. Mash continues obeying all of Cavil's orders, so Cavil pours water right in front of him and asks him to clean it up. Mash considers the situation and decides to clean it up anyway. After a while, he is impressed by how well he cleaned it. While getting up, Finn's notebook drops from his coat. Cavil says he's getting bored of textbooks, so he commands Finn to burn Mash's clothes. Finn apologizes because he can't do this anymore, begging Cavil to end this. Cavil uses his magical abilities to restrain him, and makes him get on his knees to apologize. Mash walks to give Finn his notebook back, but then what he sees before him shocks him. Mash walks toward Finn and asks him if he's okay. Finn tells him that he's alright but begins crying, saying that he was the one who's been ruining his notebooks this entire time. He's been too scared to disobey, but when he heard him saying that he's been a great friend, he couldn't handle it anymore. He just wanted to apologize to Mash, and Cavil wishes he would have gotten such a sincere apology. Afterward, he reveals that he's going to dine with the vice principal and tells Mash to ditch this lackey before he misses his chance. Mash walks towards Cavil, grabbing his hair and smashing his head into the ground, knocking him unconscious. Cavil's friends are shocked, and Mash doesn't care if he's expelled. He then realizes that he does care if he's expelled. The vice principal appears, telling him that he witnessed this entire incident. It was a violent attack and both Mash and Finn will have to deal with the consequences. And since they're of different status, they will also have a different treatment. He will enlighten the idiots, but Mash rushes forward and gives him a fierce roundhouse kick. The vice principal vows to expel Mash right at this instant, and uses his magic wand. But Mash shoves his face with dirt. He goes on to dig the ground behind him, carrying him and tossing him into the pit, and begins burying him. If he can expel Mash at any time, then Mash can also bury whenever he wants. Even if he throws Mash in prison or cuts his body, he will crawl and bury him. Later on, Mash is summoned before the headmaster. He has an order to expel him from the Bureau of Magic, the highest legal authority in this world. Divine visionaries are the ones running this bureau, which means Mash has done something unforgivable. But after only 20 seconds of explanation, Mash passes out from information overload. The headmaster tries to wake him up and tells him to just do well in his classes to get as many coins as possible. At the same time, the headmaster promises that he will do everything to protect him from the Bureau of Magic. There is one more problem that Mash will inevitably have to face, but the headmaster is confident that Mash will be able to overcome it. This was the way the vice principal and Cavil were destroyed. But Mash became recognized by everyone at the academy. The next day, Mash walks with Finn while teaching him how to create a cream puff. A guy comes up and asks him if he would like to have a duelo so they can burn in this fire that we call life. What the f is up with these nutcases? His name is Tom, and all the girls go crazy over him. However, they think Mash has a mushroom haircut and make fun of his looks. Mash wonders what this guy has been smoking, so the guy reveals that they will be competing using their broomsticks like this is Harry Potter or some shit. Tom grabs Mash, telling him that they're counting on him to be at the game tomorrow. He tells him to shoot for the stars, because even if he misses, he'll land among his dreams. Mash realizes he's found someone denser than him. At the match the next day, Mash tries to tell them that he can't ride a broomstick. The match begins and everyone begins flying around to pass the ball. However, everyone in the stands realizes that Mash isn't flying, and begin throwing stuff at him and telling him to go home. Mash also wants to go home. The crowd begins thinking that the match is rigged while Mash stands on the ground. The captain approaches Mash. I swear this dude is a nutcase. The captain tells Mash that he swore to be number one, but Mash didn't. The captain tells him to quit being lazy, but Mash says he's not. He tells him to remember the mighty bamboo because it can survive any climate, and Mash right now is lacking the bamboo. Mash doesn't know what this guy is taking, but he sure wants some of it. He tried to explain the rules one more time, and tells him they're basically playing a Harry Potter game. The enemy team is almost 40 points ahead of them, and he hands Mash the broom, telling him that bamboos that can't fly are just shoots. Tom's single objective is to put everything he has into this match, which is why he recruited Mash. He heads back out to and encouraged Mash to start playing, but an opponent directly flies into Tom and knocks him off, claiming it was just an accident. They continue scoring while Tom is knocked out, and Tom thinks he might have broke a bone. Tom asks where their sportsmanship went, but the guy replies that he only cares about winning and calls them wusses. With the huge lead they have against them, Tom thinks this situation is pathetic, but wants Mash to know one thing. Winning doesn't matter, it's whether he gives it his all. The enemy team has a 50 points lead against Mash's team, but Mash picks up his broomstick and strengthens his grip. He launches towards the sky in an epic leap, and to everyone's surprise, he appears to be flying. He asks the teammates to pass the ball to him, but the entire field thinks he must be joking to try and throw the ball from this distance. The opponents begin flying towards him to steal the ball, but Mash prepares a strong throw, and uses all of his might to make the ball fly past the opponents, scoring from beyond half field. However, they're still down 49 points and the time is almost up, but the ball begins flying back like a boomerang to Mash, and he prepares another strike. His fingers strike with accurate precision to ensure the ball curves right back to him. He continues preparing strike after strike, and before everyone knows it, the score begins flying off the chart, and Lemon feels a citrusy liquid exiting her insides after climaxing. Sorry, I meant her name is Lemon. The score reaches the limit on the board, and the winner is declared to be Mash's team for winning such a narrow comeback situation. After that, Mash came all over Lemon's back. Sorry, I meant Mash won a silver coin. Finn congratulates Mash on getting a silver coin for breaking the world record, but Mash pledges he won't ever do that again. Tom approaches Mash with the most intense anger and hugs him for turning into one great bamboo. Mash still hasn't learned what type of magic is enhancing the bamboo this dude takes, but he still wants some of it. During that night, the news praises Mash for being the lead scorer in the match's world record win, and the reader remembers Mash from the entrance exams. He opens his pendant, promising that Mash will be the next one he takes. The next day, Tom has taken another hit of his magical bamboo, and tells Mash to glisten more in the fire we call life. Lemon thinks he's been struggling in his classes, so she can teach him some anatomy after class and give him a hands-on lesson.
What do you mean by that?
Finn wishes he could be getting some attention from Lemon, but she tells Mash that she's enchanted her tongue with extra saliva. Sorry, I meant citrus-secreting substances because she's a lemon. She goes on to say that she can use her 2 giant melons to destroy his creature of the dark. Sorry, I meant. Never mind. Just spam Rip Finn in the comments section because poor dude is getting cucked. The fake fans will never expect it. Mash asks Finn for some help, but he's already climaxed from all the things Lemon was saying, and Mash thinks he's a traitor. Lance approaches them and asks to join the conversation, but Tom has never seen someone who possesses 2 scars on his face. Lemon thinks that he must have a giant eggplant, but she only cares about Mash's lemon juicer even if it doesn't fit. Mash doesn't want him to join the conversation because he's a stranger, but Lance tells him that he wants to do something fun. Mash wonders if he means hide and seek. Lance takes out an ancient bottle, and it instantly sucks Mash's friends inside, shrinking and trapping them. Lemon is worried for being trapped with 2 guys who will squeeze all her citrus out. Lance turns away, saying to meet in the forest if he wants to see his friends again. Deep inside the forest, Mash faces off with Lance and asks him why he's done this. He reveals the silver coins, and tells him that they will gamble for them, and Tom is worried about the 2 lines on his face. In this world, the majority of people have a single line to indicate they can use magic, but about 1 in 100,000 people have a double line, and they're considered chosen by magic itself. Meanwhile, Finn is losing his mind for being in a closed space with Lemon. Mash tells him to hurry up and get on with it, and Lance takes out his wand. He begins by casting a spell towards the ground, creating numerous circles to change the structure of the field. Mash's grandpa is worried about Mash, but Brad is worried about his profits. They hear an explosion in the distance, and the entire cliff explodes before them. Mash thinks flashy performances are unnecessary and launches towards Lance. However, Lance uses his gravity spell once more and crushes Mash to the ground. He continues strengthening the gravity spell, telling Mash that scum like him can spend their entire life rolling in the ground. Mash tries to stand up, but Lance says it's futile to get up. However, Mash strikes his fist in the ground and says he can do more than enough without standing. He pulls the roots from the ground to destroy the earth beneath Lance, shocking him. Mash asks him if he also likes rolling on the ground, and lunges towards him at sonic speed. Lance tries to counterattack by casting his gravity spell, but Mash's footwork allows him to maintain balance and strike before it affects him. His speed has increased, and he nearly strikes Lance down but only manages to destroy his pendant. He opens it and sees a girl in there.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
Lance reveals that he's not actually Lolicon. He's a Siscon. He asks Mash to give it back and asks him what the most precious thing is in this world. Mash thinks it's cream puffs, but Lance says he's wrong. He says love, but Lance says he's wrong. After a while, Lance is angry that Mash can't answer such an obvious question, so Mash asks him what he thinks the most important thing is. Lance points the bottle off the cliff, telling him that even if Mash tries to reach for it, he's going to attack him mid-air to destroy him. This is the resolve of Lance's will to save his sister. He remembers the times when she would heal him after getting into a fight for saving a bullied kid. Even though he was dumb for taking the beating, his sister loves how he's clumsy and kind like that, and this brings joy to Lance. But a few weeks later, he ran to his sister's room after finding out she has an incurable disease. Within 5 years, her magic crest will disappear completely, and they will have to hand her over to the government. His parents are disgusted that they gave birth to such a child, but when Lance heard those words, he screamed at his parents, saying they're no longer his parents. For his sister, Anna, he'll make sure to overthrow this entire system and become divine visionary to change the perception of his sister to this world. He throws the bottle down and uses his magical ability to speed up the fall. He looks at Mash, who's doing stretches, and gets in a track race position. He says he's going to be using hamstring magic, and his entire body's muscular system enlarges. Before he could even find where Mash disappeared off to, Mash appears behind him. However, Mash tells him to stop this because he believes Lance is actually a good guy. The bottle was empty after all, and Mash dashes to search Lance and takes the actual bottle. Lance wonders why Mash would give up the opportunity to win silver coins, but Mash says he's too clumsy to make rational decisions about everything. Hearing those words reminds him of the stuff his sister had told him, and Lance feels absolutely defeated. He walks off and honors his bet, giving Mash his second silver coin. Mash wonders what might have happened if he won, but Finn thanks him for saving him. The nutcase is still on his bamboo, and Lemon tells Mash she's going to let him suck her lemon juices so hard. While Lance walks away, Mash thinks he was a pretty good guy, but wishes he didn't release his friends from the bottle. In the Easton Magic Academy, we have yet another Harry Potter ripoff. There are 3 dorms that each student is assigned to. Alder for courage and conviction, Orca for wisdom and willingness, and finally Lang for ability and ambition. They're rivals against one another, and in the Alder dorm, Mash stares at his silver coin. He has learned that 5 silver coins create a gold coin, but he's only managed to earn 2.
Bitch, are you dumb?
Pardon me?
Finn tells him to quit constantly thinking about squeezing Lemon's insides, and calls him a meathead because Lemon wants to give his meat some head. Mash thinks that today is a nice peaceful day, but Finn realizes that they've completely forgotten about their potions assignment. Mash tries to calm him down, telling him to just eat some of his white cream. Sorry, I meant trying to give him a cream puff. Finn is scared he will fail this academy, but Mash couldn't care less. Lance comes in. As the top student, he's already finished the assignment, so he lectures them on being responsible and being ashamed of themselves. Mash comes up and says,
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
Lance goes on to show them that they're going to pass their assignment by ripping off Harry Potter even more, and Mash is excited the authors were genius enough to be original. While the Mandragora cries, Lance uses his spell to make it sleep so it can become a potion ingredient. He tells them to try, but while Finn uses the same magical spell, the Mandragora doesn't respond. Mash tells him that he'll show him how it's done, but when he casts the spell, it begins screaming even louder. Finn wonders how someone so incapable could exist, but Lance says to just focus on concentrating his magic on a single point. While casting the spell, the Mandragora begins falling asleep, and Finn is happy that he was able to accomplish the task. He wonders how Mash is doing. The giant plant screams and is ready to crush Mash, but with his agility, he evades and slaps the plant until it passes out. To create the compound, they all get in zesty aprons, and Lance demonstrates the way to create the potion they've been after. Finn thinks this is impossible, but Mash thinks he knows exactly what to do. Lance calls him zesty like his apron for always making white creamy liquid food. He thinks it's impossible for him to mess up if they do it together, so he watches his every move. But Mash manages to somehow make a cream puff once again. Lance has no idea how this guy is so useless, and Mash agrees. Meanwhile, the all-dorm off-campus class will start soon, and the headmaster wonders if Mash will be alright. In the hallway, this show decides to rip off Naruto, and Naruto bumps into 3 kids. They tell him to watch where he's going, but next thing they knew, he used his magic jutsu to destroy all of them, calling them side characters in the wrong anime. In a secret room, a man with 2 scars throws the silver coins on the ground, saying that Lang will rule the school, and commands his subordinates to steal all the coins from other dorms. Mash enjoys eating the white creamy liquid from the cream puff. The day of the all-dorm class arrives, and they hear Naruto yelling that he's the main character. His name may be Don, but that's boring, so we'll keep calling him Naruto. Mash thinks he's a weirdo, but Naruto calls him a mushroom head and says he looks like a side character. However, Lemon comes in, screaming Mash's name and says that she wants him to cream her puff already. Naruto spits on him in the least non-Chad manner and says he will kill him. He hates this world and thinks it's ridiculous how half the population is women, but he hasn't had a single one fall for him. The only reason this happens is because people like Mash are ruining the system, so Naruto swears that he will become a divine visionary to rid this world of hot guys. Lemon is still telling Mash to cream her puff, and Mash thinks his white liquid is tasty. Naruto tells them to quit ignoring him since his ego is being crushed, but the teacher materializes in front of them to explain the rules. In this class, they will exterminate the scorpions hiding throughout the forest. The strongest scorpions may be dangerous, but defeating them will earn them silver coins, and he tells them to head off now. As they prepare to head off, a mysterious man grabs onto Mash and tells him to stop thinking he's hot stuff just because of a fluke in a match. He steps backward and sends a stone pillar to destroy Mash's insides. The guy tells him to get up already, and Mash gives him a cold glance. He walks off and tells Mash to make sure he's bowing that low next time they meet. But Mash is glad that his cream puff hasn't been mashed because he wants to mash Lemon's insides and cream her puff. They walk together in the forest, but after a while, Lance notices that Mash is gone. He had zoned out like a bonehead, but hears Naruto yelling that he will destroy Mash. They lock eyes and Naruto screams in fear, so Mash slaps him and tells him to be quiet already. Naruto is prepared to destroy Mash for his disrespect, but they hear a woman screaming in the distance. A guy yells that he will make her regret her actions, and Naruto unleashes Explom, an ability that burns the guy to ashes. Naruto tells him to never raise his hand against a girl, and the girl thanks him with a smile. Naruto climaxes but tries to play it like nothing just happened. He turns around and tries to be charming, but when she grabs his hand, the simp climaxes once more. She calls him so strong and manly, and he climaxes again. Deep in the forest, the mysterious guy has destroyed one of the boss scorpions and thinks it's time to face off with Mash. Meanwhile, Mash is eating his white creamy puff while Naruto has a white creamy pie inside his pants. The girl gets closer and bumps her knee into him, and he climaxes once more. The girl wonders how much of a virgin this guy is. He asks her what she said, but she tells him that she just thought he was so wonderful and manly, and that he's really wonderful. He climaxes again, but the post-nut clarity of this one sends him to a different dimension. He begins banging his head on the ground, and the girl is glad that her magic spell is working just as intended. Now she will take care of the mushroom head, but when she approaches him, Mash doesn't flinch even a little. He may be into Lemon, but Mash is zesty, so she tries to strengthen her magic even more and uses the trifecta of sound, sight, and touch to make Mash fall for her. However, he tells her he's in love with cream puffs, and the girl wonders how this man isn't falling for her. Naruto's hormones have recovered, and he asks her why she appears to be sad. The girl reveals that there's a man who's been bullying her all this time, and begins crying because she doesn't know what to do. Naruto activates simp mode once again and promises that he will beat the guy up for her, but just then, giant stone crystals appear from the earth. Naruto says that he will end him right here, but the man thinks he's the biggest cringe out here. In an instant, he casts his Explom ability, but even though the man evades, he sees the sky filling up with his fireballs. Naruto launches his all-out assault, even sending a giant flare towards the man and tells him to die twice. Naruto thinks that he was an easy opponent after all, but the fog settles and the crystals appear to have been saving him from all the blasts. He launches a crystal to crush Naruto's stomach, and the debris knocks Mash's cream puff out of his hand. Naruto is enraged, and Mash is about to absolutely annihilate the man in front of him. Naruto faces off against Silva, but wonders how he's going to endure Silva's magical abilities. He thinks the mushroom head is going to be useless in this battle, but Silva calls him a letdown. However, he's willing to offer him a chance. If he can endure just 5 hits of his magic, he'll leave the girl alone, and will even go as far as betting a silver coin. Naruto hesitates, but accepts the challenge. The girl is worried that he's going to have a serious injury, but Naruto thinks he's climaxed to her 5 times already, so it's only fair that he takes 5 blows. Silva tells him that he's not the only one, because he's also challenging Mushroom Head, but Naruto says that Mash has nothing to do with it, and decides to take all of the blows for Mash as well. Naruto gets in position to take the blows, but after just a single iron fist, he's already coughing up blood. As Silva taunts him to give up already, Naruto holds his ground and Silva continues striking him down until he's been hit a total of 9 times. His consciousness begins to fade, but he's determined to not give up. The tearful story of his crush being bullied motivates him, so even if he may look like an idiot, and even if he thinks that he does, he won't doubt anything she's told him, because her tears were telling the truth. Silva is impressed with Naruto for making it this far, but for his last hit, he promises to make it an extra big one. He casts his wand and sends a giant iron fist towards Naruto, knocking him to the ground. Silva thinks it's a pity, but Naruto holds his ground once more, and Silva is shocked this guy is still walking. As Naruto gets closer, however, he collapses, and Silva calls him a complete moron and imbecile. Of course, he's no longer able to stand. The blows crushed all of his core organs and muscles. Silva casts another iron fist, and Naruto continues begging Mash to leave. Just then, the girl reveals she's been charming him with magic this entire time. Silva tells her that she's being too nice. After all, this guy is completely delusional and thinks he's the main character of an anime, and starts laughing at him until Mash throws his white creamy puff in his mouth. He says they've gone too far, and tells Silva to bring on the 10-hit challenge. Meanwhile, Lemon is starting to have withdrawals because her puff hasn't been creamed by Mash. Even with Mash's strength, Lance is worried since there are different types of magic users. White mages excel at leadership while red mages excel at combat. This entire time, Mash has been battling white mages, but red mages past the first year, especially with double lines, are likely to surpass even Mash's strength. Silva thinks it's quite a statement coming from Mash, as it pisses him off there are people like Naruto. Some of Naruto's blood has ended up on his clothes, so he picks him up to slam him down. In that instant, Mash rushes forward to punch Silva away, but his reflexes allow him to cast an iron fist that manages to scratch Mash. Silva laughs hysterically at Mash's arrogance. He summons his iron fists and launches one towards Mash's gut, following with multiple hits to try and knock Mash out. The largest iron fist rushes towards Mash to end him, but with his bare fist, he holds it off and destroys it. He begins clenching his fist and activates Triceps magic. Silva hasn't ever heard of that lunatic magic and sends a flurry of iron fists towards Mash that he evades one by one. The iron fists continue rushing towards Mash, but he destroys every single one of them until he finally reaches Silva. With all of the blood coming out, Silva struggles to speak and Mash continues approaching him. However, with all of the iron fists approaching Mash, he simply clenches his fist, sets up his footwork, and readies a strike that destroys every single one of them while delivering a devastating blow to his stomach. As he flew backwards, Silva coughed up blood and realized there's absolutely no chance for him to win. All the strength in his body has disappeared, and he wonders who this guy is. Before destroying him, however, Mash walks away and goes to sit on a tree, saying that it's been 2 punches. He asks him if he's going to endure 10 of those punches since he's the greatest after all. While walking towards him, Mash asks if he can go for a 3rd hit, and Silva's mind is crushed. One more hit would definitely isekai him, so he tries to desperately come up with a plan. As he tries to think, the earth begins to quake and a giant scorpion with a star-shaped stone appears. It's worth more than a single silver coin, and he knows that it can distract Mash enough for him to escape. This is his opportunity.
He needs some milk.
Mash apologizes for being busy right now, and the stone falls to the ground. Silva has realized that it's over for him, but Mash asks him if he would like to call it quits since he feels bad for him. His head snaps towards the girl like an owl. She begins crying and pretending to apologize, and Mash wonders if he heard that right. With fake tears, she apologizes and says she's truly sorry. But Mash comes and hugs her from behind, telling her that it's alright, because he believes equal rights mean equal fights. And I bet my bars hit you out of sight, but not as hard as Naruto beating his meat to Lemon at night. After their battle ended, Lemon asks if she can cure Mash's injuries with her citrus juices. Naruto hears how Lemon wants her insides to be mashed by Mash while he squeezes all her juices out with his lemon juicer and creams her puff. What the fuck is this show? He sees how much she cares about him and remembers his crush calling him a cringe. Mash has noticed how down Naruto looks and Lemon approaches him, asking him if he's okay. The simp climaxes yet again, and Lemon thinks he's weird and screams for help. Naruto apologizes to Mash for getting him caught up with his problems, but Mash says it's not like him. Naruto tells him to shut his mouth and give him a break because he tried so hard to squeeze those words out of his mouth. Mash says that the only thing he's going to break is Lemon's back while squeezing his white creamy puff onto her. Lance has discovered that they were targeted this entire time. He's overheard that Lang is hunting for coins and are mainly targeting Mash's dorm. They're a dorm made up of the highest elite students who strive to make sure no one else will become a divine visionary. It's starting, the great war for the coins against the dorms, the Majo Lupus. Mash thinks the Majo Lupus sounds like an arc he could have created back when he was 12. In his pocket, a golden light glows, and Mash takes it out to see that he's finally got a golden coin. Naruto wishes he was that successful, and Mash shines it brighter in his eyes. This is the first time Mash has heard about the different dorms, but then remembers how much more they ripped off Harry Potter. The teacher had instructed everyone to touch the skeleton so it can select a dorm for them. The skeleton has never made a mistake in selecting the right dorm for a student. Next was Mash's turn and he grabbed onto the skeleton. However, all of his thoughts were filled with cream puffs. Mash apologizes for squeezing his bones so hard.
I beg your pardon?
The skeleton wonders how such a guy can only be thinking about cream puffs and nothing else, especially with that ugly mushroom head. This is the first time in several centuries that he's been stumped, so he tries investigating him once more. But cream puffs are the only thing in his mind. The skeleton decides to recite the recipe for cream puffs from ChatGPT and arrives at the statement that cream puff lovers go to Alder. This was how they ripped off Harry Potter, and the guys realized that Mash was the weirdo this entire time. Lance explains that Lang's elite are a group of 7 of the most distinguished students in the world. Now that Mash has a gold coin, he needs to be extra careful in keeping his distance from Lang and not getting lost. Mash promises that he will. Well, that was all bullshit. Mash is lost in school while he walks around, but stumbles on the Lang dorm. He wonders if he should push or pull the door open, and this difficult decision troubles him. Inside the room, Silva begs for forgiveness from Lord Abel. However, not only was he defeated, but he even lost a silver coin, so he begs for a second chance. Abel says he never gave him a chance since he didn't expect anything out of him. Humans worthy of turning this world around must be chosen individuals, he states. He's collecting coins to create a world free of impurities, and Silva's body begins transforming. Silva's body walks and stands next to the rest of the dolls. Abel tells his mother that he's going to create a world free of impurities. Mash breaks the door and walks in, asking the man if he knows that he's talking to a doll. The Lang leader remembers that Mash is the first-year student with the gold coin, and asks him why he wants to become a divine visionary. Mash's only wish is to live peacefully with his parents, and Abel finds that admirable. However, he calls him misguided and says he lacks the metal necessary to be a deity-like being, but will allow him to leave peacefully in exchange for his gold coin. Mash rejects his request, but Abel tells him he has no right to refuse, sending one of the puppets towards Mash. With his superior agility, Mash strikes the doll down and rips the control threads, freeing Silva from the inside. He tells Abel that it wasn't much of a challenge, but a bigger puppet grabs onto Mash. The strength of the puppet makes him wonder if it's been pumping iron. But the doll takes the coin from his jacket and tosses it to Abel. Afterward, it smashes Mash against the pillar, and Abel thanks him for his cooperation. Mash stands up, telling Abel that he's not much of a challenge and nearly stomps Silva to death. Realizing he's unconscious, he decides to take him to the nurse's office instead of worrying about the coin, and promises that he will never lose against him. All of the Lang members are shocked, and Mash exits the room like a Giga Chad. Abel wonders why he's so overconfident, and feels like something was off. He notices one of the puppets was missing a button, and in his hand, he's holding the button instead of the coin. Strawberry Lemon realizes she witnessed the impossible. In an instant, the puppet had flung the coin, but Mash bit off the button and sent it flying with such precision that it hit the coin back in midair, and allowed him to suck it back into his lungs, leaving Abel in shock. Back at the nurse's office, Silva wakes up and is shocked that he's a human again, but sees Mash crunching and wonders what this nutcase is doing. He asks Mash why he saved a person who was supposed to be his enemy. Mash gets up and tries speaking, but nearly bites his tongue off, so he decides to leave and save himself the embarrassment. Inside Mash's dorm, Lance and Naruto are having a staring contest. Lance asks him why he went from Naruto to Narusimp with his new hairstyle, and Naruto says that he got this makeover to squeeze Lemon's juice out, and tells him to get out of his room. Finn reminds them that they're in his room, and Naruto starts breakdancing. Lance tells him that he hates ugly asses like him and wants to eradicate him. Naruto accepts the challenge, and they're ready to destroy poor Finn's room.
Sensational.
Naruto takes out a gift for Finn since it's his first time visiting, and he sees that his gift is a lemon-flavored tea, and thinks this dude's messed up in the head. Naruto wishes he had a girlfriend while Mash eats his lemon cream puff. Lance tells him to stop thinking about devouring Lemon, and Finn wonders why he has to deal with these three morons. Lemon pops in and sees four men and begs them not to run a train on her. She takes them to the magic scale and shows them that Lang's dorm has 15 coins while the other dorms only have 1. They've been stealing coins since the beginning of the year, and because of their blood purist exclusionary ideology, they're going to create the most evil divine visionary. Naruto thinks that he loves Lemon's sour flavor instead of a sweet orange. Lemon begs Mash to cream her puff already, and Naruto screams in anger. Mash, Lance, and Naruto promise to bring them down, and the 5 Power Rangers have assembled. Inside the owl farm, Mash wonders why his mushroom head ended up here. The principal needed to reprimand him for God knows what, so now the owls think his dumbass hair is their nest. Lance appears and tells Mash that he'll be accompanying him in case Lang decides to tail him. In the forest, 2 of the Lang lackeys walk together. One of them says that once time passes, it never returns.
Well, no f***ing shit.
Mash continued trying to clean the hut, but the owls kept messing with his head. From underneath Mash, a water puddle formed and a giant shuriken nearly slashed Lance's head off. It's the Lang lackeys, and they introduce themselves as the Magalupus's 6th Fang, Allor, and the 7th Fang, Answer. They're here to battle for the gold coins, but poor Mash is about to drown since he's never swam before in his life. Allor transforms into a shark and dives inside the puddle, and Answer says that he will tell Lance something important. In a fight, there is always a winner and a loser. Lance wonders why his school is filled with morons who are constantly taking the mighty bamboo. Answer launches his shuriken towards Lance, and as he's about to retaliate with his magic weapon, he notices one of the owls in his way. His hesitation causes him to be slashed, so he tries to attack once more, but remembers his sister will be angry with him if he hurts the poor owls. The Siscon's been smitten, and Answer releases 2 of his giant shurikens towards Lance. Seeing their trajectory would harm the owls, he decides to take the blow head on. Lance struggles to think of a way to win this fight and activates his Gravile, but his magic is so weak that only a shovel falls. Answer thinks he's had enough of dealing with the weak, so he launches his shuriken triple towards Lance. In the last moment, however, he notices something is off and sees that the owls are in one spot. Lance activates his Gravile, crushing his shurikens in an instant. When he first casted the spell, he intentionally targeted the shovel to open the owl's feed and lure them all to a single spot. Answer's anger grows with Lance's mocking actions, so he launches his ultimate shuriken, but Lance activates his Gravile, crushing him and destroying his shuriken. Answer wonders how a double liner has an overwhelming difference in power, but Lance goes on to reveal his secret behind his ultimate strength. He's going to tell him something important. To save his sister, his determination will destroy any opponent in his way. He is the ultimate Siscon. Inside the sea field, Allor is ready to hunt Mash, but a torpedo rushes past him, and he wonders what he just witnessed. He looks around and sees Mash flashing right next to him and wonders how he's swimming. Mash comes by and says he can swim better than he thought, so he's grateful to the shark for teaching him how to swim. Realizing Mash is faster than any shark on this planet, he casts his ultimate ability, Sea Shark Evolution, and thinks nobody can stop him in this form. However, Mash begins stroking deep into the shark's insides to penetrate him.
Pause.
They defeat both of the enemies, and Lance takes their coin away. If this is the power of the 6th and 7th, Mash thinks they can handle them with ease. However, a person enters the room and flickers past them, telling them not to jump to conclusions. Lance tries activating his Gravile, but his magic has no effect. The man tells them to calm down because he's only here for his allies, but Mash rushes with inhuman speeds towards him, saying that he's quite menacing. Their opponent flashes before Mash's punch can land, and apologizes for seeming menacing. He takes his allies and tells them that they will meet again soon, bidding them a good day. Mash realizes this is going to be harder than they thought. The man's mask crushes, and he realizes that Mash's speed without magic indicates one thing. They have the same type. The mysterious second fang faced off against the master of the orcas. But after he activated his ultimate ability, the second fang finished him off with ease, and his body was transformed into a doll to patrol the school. The next morning, inside the infirmary, Tom looked like he finally took too much bamboo and asked them how they're bambooing. Mash thought this guy's brain was finally fried, and Lemon wondered why he looks like he's been spending 15 years in prison. But Bamboo Man said he could no longer use any of his magical energy, almost like it's been sucked out of him. Lance thinks it's odd, especially considering all the other patients here who have lost their magic, and all of it conveniently happened when the headmaster left for the Bureau of Magic. Lemon feels afraid, so she hands Mash Creamy her lemon cream puff because she wants her insides creamy. He wonders what's up with the ribbon, and she punches him in the face because anime girls make no sense. She tells him not to do anything risky, and to keep it with him at all times so he can use it whenever he has built up desires. After the dorm's lights went out, Lance was sure that the Magalupus are behind these events, but Mash asked him why he's being a white girl in a horror movie and walking towards danger at night. As they walked around, they found Lemon's back turned towards them, and Naruto climaxed after seeing her back. He tried approaching her, but Lance told him to wait because something was off. Her body began moving in a very inhuman manner, and she turned around in an instant towards them, but they had all managed to stay hiding. Naruto thinks this is the worst possible scenario, because he just climaxed even though she didn't have eyes.
Stop it. Get some help.
Finn sees that she's walking somewhere, but they eventually make it to a dead end. Finn hears a creaking and wonders if the rest heard it, but Naruto tells him to quit being ridiculous. He hears it again, and Naruto also hears it. They hug onto Mash for protection, but Lance tells them to calm down because it's just a spell. Using his disclose ability, he uncovers the secret door hidden underneath them, but says the magic sealing this door is far beyond his abilities. Naruto uses his machine gun Explom to destroy the door, but without a single scratch left on it, he loses hope. Mash is out for another Giga Chad move to break this show's logic. With the armor suit he brought, he bangs on the floor to knock the door up, and places the sword against the armor to create a lever. He then smashes his foot towards the bone of the sword, launching the door into the sky and destroying all of the ceilings. Lance says Lemon is inside, but hearing that makes Naruto climax, because he wants to know what Lemon's insides are like. Mash stares at the creamy she created for him, remembering her asking him not to do anything risky, but he apologizes, thinking that he will have to break his promise. As they walk deeper into the lair, he thinks this is definitely another Harry Potter ripoff, but Naruto tells him to stop single-handedly ruining this show, causing Mash to get really bummed out. As they walk deeper, Lance realizes that there was a reason for Lang choosing this hideout, and they eventually make it into an arena. A man materializes in front of them, and tells them that this is an ancient dueling field. He's here at the Third Fang's request to eradicate intruders like them, and provokes them to challenge him for their coins. Lance is ready to face him off, but Naruto wants to take care of it. He hates good-looking guys, and the guys cheer him on. Naruto asks him if he has a fan club, and after he says that he does, Mash knows that there's a jealous rant incoming. Naruto begins screaming that he'll end him, and the guys are glad that their assumptions were right. The man asks Naruto if he's jealous of his attractiveness, and Naruto screams that he is. Hearing his dumbass screaming, he realizes that Naruto lacks both brains and attractiveness, and summons his Rose Whip to begin the battle. Inside the Bureau of Magic, the leader apologizes for bringing the principal all this way, but their issue is urgent. 6 of Death Row's most notorious inmates had escaped and slaughtered all of the prison guards, and they were assisted by Innocent Zero. Meanwhile, Naruto launches his Explom ability, but the Rose Whips neutralized it with ease and slashed towards Naruto. His opponent wonders how he was able to beat Silva, but Naruto remembers just getting the crap beat out of him instead. He thinks it's a shame how a guy like Silva was a double liner, and says he's a lot tougher than Silva is. Naruto likes hearing that, because he definitely won't lose, and casts his Explom bomb towards him. 8 traps become set next to him, and Naruto tells him to watch his step because all of them have 5 times the usual power. The unnamed man thinks he would never fall for it, but Naruto thinks an idiot like him will definitely walk into them. His opponent wonders how he would ever fall for that trick, especially since he can attack from a distance. He casts his Rose Whip, and while Naruto tries to retaliate with his Explom, the vines neutralize the attacks and grab onto him, throwing his wand out of his hand. The vines grow thorns to immobilize his body, and the man thinks that Naruto really is an ugly idiot. so he will end this fight with his next attack, and sends him dropping towards the ground. Naruto tells him that he never said anything about making him step on the marks, and one of the spells activates, destroying the man's wand. Explode Bomb is nothing more than a time bomb, so he deceived him and went on to use the rest of his time bombs, attempting to incinerate him to smithereens. Naruto says that no one should ever judge a book by its cover and tells them to bring on the next guy. However, his opponent remains standing in an attractive pose after being defeated, but thinks he doesn't mind it. As the others walk towards him, the ground begins to sink them downwards. Mashle begs someone to save his baby, at least this one. Finn sinks with Naruto, and Naruto realizes these guys are even more of a nutjob than he is. After sinking into the ground, Lance realizes their plan all along was to split them up, and feels an intense energy appearing. The man tells Lance that being scummy is inexcusable, and introduces himself as the third fang of Majo Lupus, worth Mattel. Naruto and Finn land in their location, and Finn runs to latch onto Naruto for protection. Strawberry Lemon thinks this fight is going to be easy and introduces herself as the fifth fang, Love Cute, while the fourth fang introduces himself as Milo Genius. Finn thinks they're done for and thanks his parents for bringing him into this world. Naruto tells him not to give up before the match has even started, because he will definitely destroy any girl who pretends to be an off-brand lemon. Nash falls onto the ground and wonders where everyone has gone off to. Torches begin to light up the hallway, and Mash recognizes him from the other day. The man apologizes for not introducing himself. He is the second fang, Abyss Razor, and hopes that Mash will remember him. The way Mash moved that day was impressive, and he noticed that he was unable to use magic. Mash stutters and says that it's not necessarily true, but the guy tells him not to worry, because just like him, he is a person who is abhorred by this world. Even though Mash has his reasons for being here, Abyss also has his reasons for fighting. Mash tells him that he will beat the stuffing out of him with everything he's got. This was the beginning of their off-brand tournament arc. Mash prepares to face off against Abyss Razor and leaps towards him to deliver a spinning kick, knocking his opponent backwards. The second fang dashes towards him and in an instant cuts his shoulder, saying that Mash can never win. He activates his Accelerate's ability and dashes towards Mash at blinding speeds, wounding his body numerous times. Their difference in speed is incomparable, and Abyss promises that he will never go easy on him. However, Mash says none of it matters, none of it. Abyss realizes that Mash is the type to live in peace with his family, and finds that idea revolting. They're similar in that aspect, but he thinks that Mash has been blessed with whoever has been around him, so he will use it against him. Inside a magical prison, he shows Lemon's magic being drained. In about 30 minutes, all of her magic will be drained, and she will lose the mark on her face. He wonders if it'll make Mash happy to have someone just like him, but Mash promises that he will rip his mask to pieces after hearing that. He thinks his words are quite obstinate, whatever the fuck that means, and promises that he won't hold back. His arrows begin to overflow the field, and he activates his Accelerate's sphere, vanishing towards Mash to deliver countless lethal wounds. As his barrage of attacks continues, his sword pierces through Mash's abdomen, and tomato sauce begins pouring out. Abyss commends him on his bravery to the very end, but notices that he can't pull his sword out. Mash tells him that he's fallen for his trap, saying his abs are toned, and delivers a devastating head smash, destroying Abyss's mask. He catches a glimpse of his eyes and sees the redness. He wonders if he's been taking the bamboo. Abyss wonders if he knows what this eye means, but Mash says that he doesn't and apologizes. Abyss tells him not to apologize and reveals that this is the evil eye of the devil. It temporarily disables all magic in this world upon its gaze, including his own. Mash gets bummed out because his special ability has no effect on him, but Abyss says it's okay. Throughout his whole life, he's been feared by everyone, including his own parents, but thinks that someone as blessed as Mash wouldn't understand. He activates his ultimate ability, Accelerate's second, and the arrows begin to cast a special sphere around Mash, a force field. This type of power is reserved only for the double-line magic users. It is called the second. An arrow is cast towards Mash, and Abyss flickers towards him. Without even being able to complete his motion, Abyss gouges Mash's body 7 times. In this force field, everyone's speed is decreased, and it is bestowed upon Abyss. So with his speed, he begins penetrating Mash's body with his hard sword, and promises that he will finish soon. As he prepares to finally finish Mash off, Mash strengthens his footing and sends his fist towards the ground, crushing the earth around him. Even with his strength, Abyss thinks this attack is futile, but Mash lunges towards him and destroys his sword. This must have been his plan all along, Abyss realizes as he split the floor to narrow his movements. Before he could pull back to regain his balance, Mashle prevents him from moving with his foot and begins to activate full muscle magic. Hurricane Rush. With all of his speed, he throws a punch towards Abyss's abdomen, shattering his force field. With his speed restored, he sprints and launches towards Abyss, kicking him with his glute magic, sending him flying away. Mashle sprints towards his enemy, but Abyss activates his acceleres and rushes towards Mashle with his broken sword. But after they make contact, Mashle holds the sword with his bare hand and activates forearm magic to kick him into the wall. He activates hamstring magic to kick him away, and then engages his pectorales to punch him towards the floor. As Abyss flies backwards, he kicks him with his ellipsos, and for his final attack, he activates his erector spine attack and suplexes Abyss to the ground. As he laid on the ground, Abyss couldn't help but think what his life would be like if he was born normal. When he was a child, his eye manifested, and his parents were filled with shock. He countered everything the god had gifted their world, possessing the evil eye of the devil. Just like the markless children, he was cast away by this world, and his parents locked him in a cell for years, only coming to give him a meager meal. His suffering continued until one day, his parents tried to end his miserable life. He was nothing but a child, but he came to the realization that he should have never been born. The only person in this world who needed him was Lord Abel, but even if he was just a tool, he's sad he couldn't even meet that expectation. Once again, he felt like he was unwanted by everyone. After hearing his story, Mashle thinks that Abyss was right, that he was truly blessed and couldn't relate to Abyss's struggles. However, he still wishes for them to become friends, but Abyss says he envies that arrogance of his. It's impossible for them to ever become friends, because with his eyes, Mashle will inevitably shift his attitude towards him. Still, to thank him for his kindness, he warns him not to advance any further. The power he saw that day against Abel was nowhere near his true powers, but Mashle says that he's going to give him a good whooping. As he walked away, he revealed that he would never turn against him, no matter how the world viewed him, and no matter what others thought. He promises that he would never change his attitude towards him. That's how he was raised, Mashle explains, and wishes for them to eat cream puffs together next time. Abyss laughs, thinking that Mashle is the strangest man he's ever met. Deep inside the other room, Worth prepares to battle against Lance, but Lance immediately activates his gravile to crush him down. However, Worth is swallowed by the floor and disappears from the field. He appears from behind, thinking it's surprising that Lance can use gravity magic. Several clones of him appear, and they launch towards Lance, but he destroys all of them with his gravile ability. Worth calls his efforts meaningless, and launches a mud spike towards Lance that he narrowly avoids. To deal with all of the mud clones, Lance thinks it's as simple as destroying the entire field. However, Worth rises from the concrete and activates his burst magic, locking his legs in place and sending several devastating spheres towards him. If this is the power of the Crown family, Worth thinks Lance's talent must be wasted, but Worth promises that he will train him if he joins the Magia Lupus. After all, he feels bad for Lance wasting his potential, so he can provide him with an environment where he can flourish. But with the garbage that's currently surrounding him, it's no wonder that Lance's abilities reek. He tells him that all of his allies are trash. In order to evolve, he needs to surround himself by the strongest allies to exist. Otherwise, his abilities will continue sinking. Lance laughs it off, thinking that his conviction isn't so weak that he needs something as superficial as an environment to get stronger. From Lance's view, he's nothing more than a second-rate loser, and activates his gravile sideways to send him crashing into the wall. Even with his new technique, Worth thinks that it won't make a difference, because he can cushion the floors and walls with a muddy environment to cushion the shocks. But rubble begins flying towards him, and he realizes that he's going to meet his doom if he stays inside of here. Worth jumps out and worries that his weakness had been uncovered, and Lance reminds him of his words about growing inside an environment. So based on his logic, it's apparent that Lance's environment is the superior one. Those awful words resonate with Worth, and he thinks that he's been strong ever since he was born with a double line. He's been at the Easton Magic Academy since middle school, and has received an education reserved for Lang's best. There's no way he couldn't be strong, but Lance's words frustrate him, so he opens a vial and reveals that it's concentrated magic that's been extracted from other students. His magic power spikes, and Worth goes on to activate his Mugurus Second. A giant mud monster appears from within, The Mudoro Devilis. All magic has tiers, Worth reveals, stating that basic magic, personal magic, and even advanced conditional magic pale in comparison to the second abilities. It's an unrivaled power granted only to the worthy double-liners, and he remembers his father's words telling him that his achievements will determine his worth. Those without magic aptitude are worthless, but he thinks his father was wrong. He's more than his aptitude, and screams that he is worthy, whereas Lance hangs out with worthless flunkies. The Mud Devil throws a punch towards Lance, but after evading, he tells Worth that he doesn't understand anything about his flunky friends. Mash had reminded him of the most important thing in this world, his sister, so no one else can insult them except for Lance. He activates his Gravile Second, and chains rise from the ground along with several pillars cast within. These are his torture poles, and the Mud Devil loses the ability to control his muscles. Lance reveals that these pillars exert a gravitational field that will pull his monster away by all directions and rip it apart. After his monster was destroyed, Worth wondered if it truly meant that he's been defeated. He remembered his father's words, saying that even becoming a divine visionary is nothing to him, because he will always be worthless in his eyes. Those words make him feel worthless. Lance throws him a book, seeing that it was ragged from all the studying, and wonders what he thinks it means to be worthy. His parents had always measured worth by social standing more than anything, so based on his words, he feels like they were raised by the same family. In that environment, he felt like his worth is judged only by his magic aptitude, but he disagreed with that. There was a special person that changed everything for him. While he doesn't like the way Worth talks or acts, Lance respects all the effort he's put in and walks away. Before Naruto and Finn were about to begin their battle, a mysterious man walked towards the basement, wishing that the headmaster didn't force him to do this. Inside the arena, Strawberry Lemon's ally decided to walk out on her, so Strawberry Lemon went on to introduce herself as Love, the Fifth Fang, and asked Naruto if he liked her. She kept asking him if he loves her, and asked him if he thinks she's an upgraded version of Lemon. But Naruto thought that a typical normie would have found her manipulation revolting. However, she said she would let him burst her strawberry with his jutsu fingers, so Naruto climaxed. Even then, he told her that he prefers Lemon and will marry her one day, crushing Love's heart. After hearing those words, she raised her lance towards him, saying that she would annihilate him. She launched her wind tornado, and Naruto barely defended her attack with his Explom, and realized that her magical power was going to be problematic. But Love launched her tornado at Naruto and knocked him to the ground. She told him that her dad allowed her to defeat anyone who doesn't love her, so Naruto said that he's going to be her real daddy from now on, and launched his Explom towards her. As she tried to deflect his attack with her tornado, the fireballs landed in front of eyes, blocking her vision. From behind, Naruto rushed forward to try and snatch her wand away, but she knocked him off and sent him flying unconsciously until he landed on the ground. She knew her opponents would be too weak, so she revealed that Milo's magic allows him to turn the person who opened the gate into stone, so within 30 minutes, Mash was going to become their new statue decoration. Love casted her tornado cage to crush Naruto once and for all, and she said that it's no wonder Lemon only wants Mash to cream her puff instead of him. But even Mash is going to meet his demise against Abel. As Naruto felt like he was about to pass away, he realized that she was right. There was nothing he can do, and ever since he was young, he remembered how others would bully him and tried stealing his wand. However, his sister exploded the entire area and scared off the bullies. She told him that he should have fought back, but Naruto said that fighting just makes everything worse. When she heard the defeat in his voice, she said that his attitude will be a problem when he gets a real friend, because when that once-in-a-lifetime person comes around, Naruto will need to make sure he never betrays them. He remembers the way Silva called him delusional for thinking he's the main character, and how his crush called him disgusting. However, the only person who stood up for him was Mash, and he wasn't about to let his kindness go to waste. Love approached Finn and was about to take care of him, but in the last moment, Naruto neutralized her entire tornado, saying that he will never let her win when she mocked his friend. Love was shocked that Naruto was still standing, and casted her tornado towards him, but Naruto parried it with ease. She saw the cross on his head, and remembered that children born with that mark battle demons when their emotions release their true powers. He will no longer be just a Naruto main character wannabe. He has found his true identity. His name is Dot. As Love realized she was screwed, Dot told her that insulting his friend is a crime, and casted his machine gun Explom. With hundreds of fireballs, Dot decided to rip off Mash's favorite line, saying "Come at me, scumbag." Love realized this was the end of her, and Dot casted all of his fireballs towards her. But when the fog cleared out, she realized that none of his shots landed. He said that he never wanted to harm a girl, and told her to piss off before he changes his mind. Love realized she found the man of her dreams, and Dot feels like he's truly unlocked his protagonist's powers. Finn was shocked how powerful his friend had become. After all, Dot was another double-liner, but as soon as he tried to congratulate him, a stone monster appeared from behind Finn, and Dot rushed forward to take the blow in his place. The monster disappeared, and Milo was back, calling Love a failure for not dealing with them. So because she was so useless, he promises to be the one who cleans up this entire mess, and sends a barrage of stone arms towards them. Dot doubts he still has the energy to defeat the fourth Fang alone. As soon as they were about to get manhandled, a sword came from the distance, crushing Milo's insides. He wondered how all his magic was destroyed, and a man stood before him. He was the divine visionary, Rain Imes, and Milo wondered why he was here. Dot recognized him as the Alder Dorm's ace, and as Milo tried explaining his situation, he launched a sneak attack onto Rain. In an instant, Rain pierced it in half and told him not to waste his time like a piece of trash. Hundreds of swords filled the entire field and crushed Milo. Love thought that she should just defect to Alder for now, and Milo realized that he had no chance against Rain, so he apologized for following Abel's orders. Rain thought it was unfortunate and kicked him in the gut, saying that he doesn't care about his words when his actions say otherwise. Dot no longer knows if he's on the good side of this war, and Rain tells them to hurry up and leave, so Love runs away, and Finn was shocked to see his brother. As he walked down the long hallway, Rain remembered the headmaster's warning about Innocent Zero's lackeys lurking around, and felt a whirlwind coming from behind him. Mash's dumbass was still eating cream puffs, and after Rain felt his pressure, he summoned a spider to measure his true magical powers. Mash thought he was screwed, so he rejected taking the test. Instantly, Rain casted his sword towards him, and Mash blocked his attack with only his fingers. He wondered why Rain would launch such a dangerous attack, saying stranger danger. The spider appraised his magic to be at 0, so Rain wondered what true power he was hiding. After he activated 3% of his partisan, the swords nearly slashed Mash to death, but he managed to make a throne out of them. Rain realized that since he's not using any magic, he was going to do a final test, and activated 10% of his partisans. The spider thought he was finished, but Mash was ready to hit a home run, and bunted every single one of the swords that Rain casted with ease. He went on to say stranger danger again, so Rain asked him for his name, and Mash introduced himself. After hearing his name, Rain remembered the words of the headmaster, asking him to look out for Mash because he has a good heart. Rain apologized for his rudeness, but Mash says he's not forgiven. As a token of apology, he gives him a handkerchief, so Mash wonders if this guy is into bunny girls. Rain doesn't say a word, and continues staring him down, so Mash accepts his gift. He asked him if he's going to fight off against Abel, and warned him that he will have a tough time without any magic when fighting Abel's strings. Mash said he can use magic, but Rain knew he was f***ing lying, so he told him that if he beats Abel, he will be able to obtain most of the school's gold coins. He said that he wishes for a strong ally to help solve this world's problems, and wished Mash good luck before walking away. Mash thought he was a good guy, and as Rain kept walking, he remembered the headmaster explaining the way Mash saved his little brother. To Rain, it doesn't matter if Mash has no magic, because he wants him to prove that he's greater than any magic user to become the divine visionary. Mash had finally arrived at Abel's door, and wondered if he should push it or pull it. For once in his life, he pushed the door open without destroying it, but in that instant, he remembered Creamy, and anger swelled inside of him, so he crushed the door open. Abel asked him if it was necessary for him to destroy every door in his way, so Mash said that he accidentally destroyed it when trying to knock. Before his eyes, Mash saw a giant sphere of energy, and Abel said he was impressed with his powers. He thought that Rain would have been the only one capable of defeating Abyss's magic eye, so he wondered if there was something else special about him. Mash realized he was about to be discovered, and told Abel to just go on with his explanation. Abel went on to call him quite capable, and Mash was glad he dodged his identity being uncovered. However, this world doesn't treat everyone equally, and he will not allow anyone of inferior genes to continue living. To him, everyone else is useless luggage, and people who can't control magic should be eliminated. Mash's dumbass was flabbergasted, and Abel said that segregating them in society isn't enough. Even the people who shelter them must be disposed of. Hearing the words shelter, Mash remembered the way Roger tried raising him as his own son, and even the first time he ate a cream puff in his life. Roger called Mash his own son, saying that he was so proud of him. After remembering those memories, Mash told Abel that he understands, but he can't befriend a cold-hearted guy like him. Abel called him dense and casted all of his dolls towards him. Meanwhile, Strawberry Lemon was glad she was finally done working, but saw that the door had been broken. Inside, she realized that the mushroom head was fighting Abel, and saw the way Mash was able to dodge the acid from landing on him. Abel told him to be careful, so Mash picked up one of the doll's heads and rolled it towards the others like a fucking bowling ball. Love wondered if she's witnessing this guy strike out all of those dolls, like they're bowling pins. Mash remembered Abel mentioning something about inferior genes earlier, asking if Abel would be the one with inferior genes when he's completely destroyed. He wondered where Lemon's being hidden, but Abel sent 4 of his giant dolls towards him, saying that he's sucking her citrus life energy away, because the strong take from the weak. In an instant, Mash defeated all of them, and told him that if the strong take from the weak, then he's going to take back Lemon when he wins. Abel was tired of hearing Mash's insolence, so with a single twist of his finger, he forced Mash to begin punching himself. As Mash tried resisting, he realized that his body was being controlled by threads, but as he was about to choke to death, the threads ripped off. Abel apologized, saying that it would be way too boring of a battle, and brought out Finn as a doll, saying that Dot was way too injured to be used as a puppet. As Finn launched towards him, Mash was able to block the attack, but Abel told him that if he lifts his hand one more time, he will rip his friend apart. With a cold glance, Mash asked him if playing dirty is the only way he could win. As Finn continued launching his attacks towards him, Mash took all of the blows until the axe completely broke off. While he had created some distance, Mash asked Abel if he still wanted the gold coin, and pinched it with all of his power. As it flied past Abel, it managed to rip the threads and free his friend while returning to him. He apologized because the coin must just be in love with him. After the sheer disrespect, Abel casted his threads towards Mash and told him that resisting would be useless because he will be nothing but a puppet. However, Mash told him that it doesn't matter what he becomes. He will make sure that he regrets lashing out at his friends. With his footing set up, he began destroying Abel's fingers and leaped forward, kneeing him in the face. As Abel fell back, he activated his ultimate ability, and Mash's body began turning into a doll. This was the only spell he was hoping not to use, but it was survival of the fittest, and he transformed Mash into a doll. In his eyes, he was nothing more than a clever rabbit, and began trying to take out his coin. He told him it was vain for a rabbit to try to become a wolf, but from inside, the only thing he pulled out was a cream puff. As he wondered what it was, Mash uppercutted him, and finally saw the cream puff that he hid in his robe 6 episodes ago. Abel wondered how he was able to still move after becoming a puppet, because his spell blocks all electric signals from the brain. The only possible way Mash could have moved was using the spinal reflex, the action of your body instantly reacting to external threats. In order for neurons to achieve that speed, they bypass the brain and communicate with the spine, so this was the only possible way for him to break out of that lock. In other words, having his cream puff taken away from him was the same as his entire life being threatened. With all of his powers having been completely destroyed, Abel decided to finally crush Mash with his ultimate spell. A giant doll appeared from inside. This was his Marionis second, the Harm Puppet. Anything within a 100-meter radius would be turned into a puppet with its invisible strings. So Strawberry Lemon realized she was finally going to become a doll. Abel told him these strings are different, because once his body is controlled, it will be completely disfigured. This was the end for Mash, because even against a rabbit, Abel resorted to using all of his power. He wanted to thank him for his time, but saw that his puppet had been completely annihilated. As he casted away the arm, Mash wondered if he was finally being appreciated. Love went on to tell us the physics-breaking bullshit Mash was able to pull off this time. In the instant that the strings touched one side of his body, Mash instantly snapped towards them and ripped the strings apart like a CSGO global elite. Abel thought it was impossible for such a human to exist, and Mash asked him why he's sweating. To Abel, Mash became the most interesting person he'd ever met, and launched his marionette towards him. However, Mash adjusted his footing and one-punch manned his entire toy. Abel finally realized what he never considered. As Mash teleported and activated his Erector Spy name magic, one thing became clear to Abel: he was the rabbit. His mother was the most compassionate person he'd ever met. Even though she was a noble, she tried giving everything away to those who weren't as privileged. But one day, his kind mother was stabbed as she was giving food to the poor. The murderer wanted to hoard all of the food to himself and stabbed her when she resisted. The way he thought of it, getting stabbed was just compensating for always having it so lucky. His mother, the only thing he ever cherished, was gone. He thought she was mistaken, because the poor people didn't need her pity. The poor are nothing but burdens on society, and they can't live in harmony together. Mash told him,
Don't care. Don't care. Still don't care. I don't care.
He told him he wanted to hurry the fuck up and free Lemon since he lost. So Abel accepts his defeat and releases all the students. Mash thanked him, but thought that he wasn't the worst person alive since he did all of this for his mother. After Abel activated Marionis Liberation, Lemon fell into his arm and Finn came back to life. He ran towards them, and the fucking idiots started cheering like morons. Finn began referring to him as his hero, and Lemon called him her husband, but he was too busy juggling all the coins he earned. The morons continued Fortnite emoting until Lemon apologized about all of this, saying it's her fault. However, she wanted to say something one final time. She said she wants Mash to cream her puff.
We need to move Lonzo.
That ain't no problem.
Huh?
That ain't no problem.
Well,
Mash told her he'll gladly do it, so she punched him in the face. Dot wanted a punch too, so he already punched himself in the face. Once he joined them back, the moron squad began celebrating once more. The only person missing was Lance, and as he walked around the campus, Rain told him to wait. He noticed that he doesn't belong in this school, and nearly annihilated Lance out of existence. But Rain's magic was completely negated. The spider revealed that its magic counter was completely maxed out. The man revealed his identity as Innocent Zero, and Rain wondered what an intricate criminal organization was doing in their school. Innocent Zero revealed that he was searching for something important, but Abel completely failed at finding it for them. Rain asked him what they were looking for, but the man said that he wouldn't tell him anything since they weren't friends. He realized that he doesn't have time for this useless conversation, because he needs to eliminate Abel after being so worthless. As Rain tried launching towards him, a knife blocked him from moving, and one of his comrades, Jean-Pierre, said that he was going to be his opponent. With this man being on par with a divine visionary, Rain knew that they wouldn't stand a chance against him. Meanwhile, the morons continued partying. In the past, Abyss remembers the day when Abel said he would give his eye a better purpose, and that he will become his tool from now on. The only thing Abyss wanted to do was catch up to his master now. Inside Roger's home, he wondered how Mash was doing, but Brad thought it would be awful if he wasn't able to become a divine visionary. After letting those words out, Roger wondered why he's not at work right now, so Brad revealed that he cares more about his screen time. Meanwhile, the morons are still fucking cheering and singing Ring Around the Rosie. Abel and Strawberry Lemon wonder how long they're going to be dancing like idiots, but the mushroom head asks to go to the bathroom after holding it the entire time. Finn is glad everything worked out, but wonders what type of fucking crime school they're attending. However, Lemon thinks that it makes it the perfect place for Mash to cream her puff. While they were distracted by Lemon, Innocent Zero entered the room, and Dot wondered where Lance's hot face disappeared off to. The man approached them, and with a single swing of his arm, he launched them falling onto the ground. Dot tried defying him, but felt a surge of power that crushed all of his courage. When he approached Abel, the man wondered if he had managed to lose against someone, and called him worthless for not rising to the top of the school. However, he was glad that Abel leaked information about the headmaster, and used his magic to begin choking Abel. The man went on to say that they don't need him anymore, but Mash came and asked them if they wanted some orange juice and cream puffs for the party. Innocent Zero wondered who the f*** that dumbass was, and Lemon said it wasn't time for him to be creaming her puff. A fly landed on Mash, and started itching his nose in a very interesting way, causing him to sneeze and blow all of the cream puffs towards the man. All of them wondered if Mash did it on purpose, but he asked if he would be able to get his cream puffs back. However, Innocent Zero's leader threw them all onto the floor, and Mash's mind was broken. The leader called Mash insolent, but felt giant headache crushing his head, and he wondered if Mash was the source of his pain. There's no way someone as ugly as him could be the one they were looking for, the leader thought, but remembered that he needed to be a villain in this episode, and used his magic to raise Abel. As he casted a stone spear towards Abel, Mash began running, and in the last instant, Abyss Razor appeared to shield Abel from the blow. Mash ran to see his friend, but Abyss apologized because they won't be able to eat cream puffs together anymore. Mash walked closer and handed him the handkerchief he had, and the leader realized why his attack wasn't fatal. In an instant, Mash had thrown a rock at his shoulder to redirect his spell's trajectory, and he realized that Mash was going to be a real threat. Still, the man thought Mash was a spineless moron for helping Abel, but Mash crushed the ground beneath his feet, and was determined to finish him off. With a swing of his leg, he launched a rock towards the leader, but he blocked it with his bare hands and licked it, calling him quite the rebel.
Hey, well, you're gonna have to take me to dinner first.
Mash asked him why he's licking the rock like that, wondering if he's still going through a phase, but regardless, Mash promised that he would beat the stuffing out of him. The leader decided to go along with his bullshit, saying that he needed to finish their battle within 30 minutes if he wished to save his friend, and casted his magic spells. The stone spears nearly crushed Mash, but he continued punching all of them even as all the injuries kept piling up. Pouring all of his energy into a single stone spear, the man launched it towards Mash to crush his core, and Abel knew that Mash couldn't win because of the difference in their innate talents. He remembered his mother telling him that their privilege was something given to them by pure luck, so he knew that it would be impossible for them to win against him. Even Abyss was a fool for trying to protect him, but Mash told him that he was probably happy. After all, he was alone throughout his existence, so when a person actually needed him, Abyss was finally able to find purpose in his life. In the same way, Mash wondered how he would have felt in that situation, so he's determined to save him, especially since they promised to eat cream puffs together. Abel remembered his mother's full words, saying that regardless of talents and birthrights, they're all coincidences, so he should always remember to put himself in another's position, because if he can do that, he will be just a little kinder to others. Mash crushed the spear standing in front of him, but the leader began casting carbon rain once again towards Mash. Abyss finally woke up, and remembered the way everyone ran away from his devil eye. He was sad to have ever been born, and continued being isolated until the day Abel had learned about his eye. Abyss had promised that he would hide it away from him, but Abel asked him if he could use the devil eye for his sake. And when Abyss said he didn't want everyone avoiding him as well, Abel said that he didn't care about any of that. He told Abyss that he was going to give his eye a better purpose, and promised that he's going to make him his tool from now on. Abyss told Abel to run away while he can, but Abel remembered feeling this same nobility coming from his mom. As the leader continued casting his carbon rain, Mash was barely holding off all of the attacks, and Dot realized how slowly Mash had been advancing. There wouldn't be enough time for him to catch up, and if he were to try and help him, Finn and Lemon would be defenseless. The leader said he was bored of Mash's stalling, and Dot realized that Mash was completely held at a standstill. As a large barrage was about to annihilate Mash, a giant arm came to save him. Abel said that the strong have the right to take from the weak, but the weak also have the right to oppose the strong. Abel said he's seeing for himself what's righteous with his own hands, and the leader continued casting his ability until it destroyed every bit of the Marioness. He apologized because they couldn't win with that type of magic, but Mash appeared from underneath and said hi to him, uppercutting his face out of existence. The leader healed his face away, and asked Mash what type of magic he uses. Mash thought about his answer carefully, and said he uses the power magic. The leader didn't like his mocking answer, so he took out his mirror to deal with it. Dot instantly realized it is the holy magic mirror that reflects an amplified version of magical attacks. It's the most feared magical item that was supposed to be banished from this realm, so he warned Mash that he wouldn't stand a chance against that mirror. He wondered how Mash would be able to beat it if it relied on him not using any magic, and the leader told Mash that he's going to make him regret all of his life decisions now. He told him that he can't win with his current power. Mash completely fucked up his face with his leg, and every single one of them realized it. He wasn't using any magic. The entire time, they finally realized that the fucking mushroom head moron has been defying all laws of physics and hid his powerlessness. Strawberry Lemon started leaking citrus juice, and Lemon wondered what else his body could do. With those muscles, she thought his name shouldn't be Mash, but it should be Smash, because he's going to obliterate her pussy. Abel realized Mash sounds like he's a straight-up anime protagonist, but they noticed how his strike didn't even leave a scratch on the leader. He looked at his arm and noticed a magical crest forming. Because of this mark and his headache, it could only mean one thing, and he realized that Mash was the one he's been looking for. The fabric of space-time broke in half, and he thanked Mash for being able to finally meet him today. He introduced himself as Cell War, and had to leave because of an urgent matter, but promised that he would see him again very soon. Mash was glad that he finally went home. He turned around and wanted to take Abyss to the infirmary, but Abel told him that it won't be necessary. His handkerchief was imbued with healing magic, so his life isn't in danger. Abyss asked Mash if they would be able to get cream puffs next time, and Abel walked away, turning around to thank Mash, and promising to repay him the favor someday. Mash turned around and thought that everything was settled, but Dot wondered how he was able to do all of this without magic. Lemon was more interested in experiencing his hip-thrusting muscles, but Finn thought he would get expelled if people found out about his lack of abilities. Mash began trembling in fear and tried saying that he could use magic. They promised they would never expose Mash's secrets to the public, so Mash thanked them for being the greatest friends. Dot wondered how they were going to hide such a secret and risk them being expelled, but a man woke up and said he heard everything. He said that Mash being unable to use magic inside a magic school is illegal, so he promised to tell all the teachers. Finn realized that all the students had began waking up, and Mash's secret was being screamed to everyone. Mash realized that his time has finally come. But instead of worrying about it, the f***ing moron started mashing his face with a cream puff. Inside the other dimension, Selwar apologized to his father for the delay, but promised that he's finally found the person they'd been looking for. The man was glad that his wish was finally going to come true, and told Selwar to go and retrieve him. The following day, as Mash realized they managed to protect his secret, some random loser appeared before them, wondering if it was true that Mash couldn't use magic. As Mash thought he could convince him, he began repeating that he could use magic, but his useless brain started overheating from the lies, and Finn thought his head would explode. As he began pulling him away, Iris told him that he could be expelled for protecting a non-magic user, but a powerful gravity planted him into the ground. Just then, the Siscon appeared before them, but as Iris began screaming at him, Naruto spat on his face. As Lemon appeared with Naruto, who was wrapped like a mummy, she began saying that he's broken every bone in his body from the fight. But the useless moron wished Lemon would break his bone already. Inside their dorm room, they decided to celebrate defeating Lang. However, Abel and Abyss were sitting at the same table, and the sight of their haunting faces made Finn wonder why the serial killers were among them. As Lemon offered to give Abyss a taste of her juice, the poor simp began to climax, so Abel told her that he was still a virgin and hasn't talked to any girls in his life. But as he met her gaze once again, Abyss climaxed even harder. At the same time, Strawberry Lemon was swallowing Naruto's meat, while Lemon wanted to shove her creamy puff inside of his mouth.
Oh shit, here we go again.
But after he rejected her, the cream puff began falling onto the ground, until Mash created a vacuum of air to suck it up immediately. As he stared around the table, Finn wondered how he ended up being a part of a mental asylum. A few hours later, while Mash was devouring his cream puff, Abyss began telling him that he's being targeted by Innocent Zero, the worst crime syndicate in the magic realm. Meanwhile, the ugly purple-haired loser had managed to sneak behind the door, thinking he would find proof that Mash was a non-magic user. But before he knew it, Abel appeared before him, and as the sight of him caused Iris to scream in fear, he ran off immediately. Inside the room, Lemon began asking Abyss if he was ready for a taste of her juice, but the simp was glad he was wearing white clothes. Just then, a bird flew through the window, tossing the mushroom head of paper, but as they decided to read it, they realized he was screwed. The next day, Mash arrived for his judgment, as the principal began saying that concealing his inability to use magic was a lethal crime, and told him that he's a threat to the existence of their world. After all, the gods had bestowed humanity with magic, so a person who rejected the gift of the gods deserves to be executed. Just then, a new blondie appeared, and began saying that rules are meant to be broken. Just then, he threw a card at the floor, and as it materialized into a candle, he told Mash to light it up without touching it. Seeing as magic was the most important thing in their world, he told Mash that he could only change the world by revealing a greater miracle than magic. The principal thought it was impossible, but as Mash revealed his magic wand, he began rubbing it against the ground with tremendous speed, until a huge flame erupted, lighting the candle with his broken strength. At that moment, Mash realized what he needs to do, and revealed that he would sway everyone over with his fist. At the same time, the other divine visionaries were heading towards the chamber, and the leader swore that he would execute anyone who couldn't use magic. Inside the chamber, Mash was asking if they would let him go home already, but before he could leave, grains of sand wrapped around his leg, and a mighty sand blast blasted him. However, Mash was unscathed as he merely blocked all the sand. As the group arrived, Order began saying that there could be no exception to the rules of the academy, and said that Mash must be executed to atone for his sin. Just then, the principal appeared before them, oozing with a dark aura. As he revealed his puppet eyes, he said that he was Innocent Zero, and began saying that Mash belongs to him, so they realized that his body has been taken over by a magiparasite. No amount of magic has ever been able to peel one off, so the host would never be able to return to life. When Ryo realized that Innocent Zero was declaring war on the Bureau of Magic, he revealed that he would remove the magiparasite. But before he would, Mash ripped it out of him. But as Ryo wondered if he's lost his mind, the parasite entered his mouth immediately. However, he managed to spit it out, and a useless kid realized that he tied it up like a dog balloon. When he wondered how he managed to do so, Mash told him that he tied it up with his tongue, before carefully setting the principal down on the steps. Having gotten rid of the parasite, he thought his case was closed and began to leave, but Order told him that it wasn't over yet. He said that the rules could never be changed and that Mash would be executed for his crime. At that moment, Mash sank his weight into the floor and told him that he wasn't leaving, deciding to do things the hard way. Order began dissolving to sand, and as he vanished, he appeared behind Mash, looking to drill sand into his brain. However, Ryo stopped him, saying that he couldn't decide Mash's future on his own. At that instant, a huge sword stabbed the ground, managing to separate them. But as it disintegrated, Wahlberg arrived inside the chamber. However, Order was bent on executing Mash, as he continued saying that the rules must be followed. Wahlberg tried asking that they pardon him, saying that they could use him in finding Innocent Zero, since he was after Mash alone. As Mash began thinking that Wahlberg must be really important, Ryo told him that he was the only divine visionary who was powerful enough to battle with Innocent Zero, and was the most powerful man in their realm. However, Order would not be persuaded, saying that the regulations must be maintained, and that Mash must be killed. Desperate to persuade him, Wahlberg decided to take off his hat, and began saying that Mash was a special kid, who had a way of swaying people's heart over to his side, and he thought he would eventually change their world if his life was spared. At the same time, Rain decided to go down on one knee, but the stubborn ugly loser began saying that their decision could not be reconsidered. At that moment, the principal appeared and asked that they make Mash an exception. After all, the only reason he's still alive right now was because Mash was able to rip off the Magiparasite, and revealed that he would bear the consequences of letting Mash continue living. So having no other choice, Order decided to agree, but said that Mash would be used as a pawn to lure Innocent Zero out of hiding, and that he must become a divine visionary candidate if he wants to defer his execution. Were he to fail, he would be killed immediately, and Mash agreed, but as he raised his fist, he punched the floor, nearly shattering it. So as the smoke cleared, he told them that he would beat Cell Wall and the entire group with his fists. Meanwhile, the other dimension was shivering from the impact of Mash's blow, and Cell Wall's father wondered who was responsible. Later that day, after Mash revealed everything to his friends, Naruto said that they should go out and have some fun. A few hours later, Finn realized that Naruto must be doing this to help Mash feel better, but wondered what everyone would be wearing since they never leave the academy. At that moment, Naruto appeared in a full suit of armor, and Mash started rolling to Finn while working out his abs, and Finn began losing hope until he saw that Lance was dressed normally.
This is a sickness of the highest order.
As the group of psychos began walking through the street, Lance revealed that he intends to get a new wand, having discovered that the Divine Visionary exam was only a few days away. He thought it's to their advantage, seeing as they already acquired enough coins to take the exam. At that moment, they arrived at the wand shop, and as they entered, a short, disgusting old man with ridiculously long earlobes welcomed them inside, and Finn wanted to be the first one to take a wand. So as a magical aura began emanating around him, he summoned a wand from the wall, and the old man revealed that the wand was the one who chose its master. As Lance realized they were ripping off Harry Potter once again, he summoned a better wand at that instant. Just then, he began suggesting that Mash summons a wand of his own, but as Finn was afraid he would discover that Mash has no magic power, Mash decided to give it a shot. However, as he decided to try his luck, he noticed a wand on the floor, but the ground began to tremble. The man told them that the wand has been stuck to the ground for the last 1,000 years, and said that no one could ever pull it out. He thought it would stay stuck forever, because it even had a pond of fairy water underneath, but said that neither the strongest men nor the greatest magicians could ever lift it. Hearing these words, they began screaming at the old man to shut up before it was too late.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
With the man in total shock, he told Mash to take the wand, but his friends realized that he's definitely the strongest man in their world. That evening, as Lemon and Bamboo Man decided to join them, they decided to shop around the entire town, until they were completely exhausted. All of them were enjoying their best lives, and Mash thought he was having fun since he's never had friends to go out with before. All of them agreed and wanted to hang out again, but Lance wanted to bring his sister next time, and Silver thought they needed more bamboo. A few days later, as Mash decided to count their coins, Lance revealed that they would definitely qualify for the selection exam. But Mash began saying that he wishes to go home first. Meanwhile, Order was having dinner with a mysterious ugly dude who was the leader of the Orca dorm, and began telling him to eliminate Mash before the Divine Visionary exam. However, the useless loser, Macaron, told him that he wouldn't do so for free, as he continued sticking his meat into his creamy white milk. But when Order told him that Mash defeated Abel without any magic, his meat fell off, as he realized that he found a worthy opponent. At that moment, he walked over to his piano, and as a ray of light shined on him, he began playing the instrument, sending musical notes swaying across the room. But once he was done, his minions realized that he had released his inner monster. At Roger's home, he was glad to see Mash again. But as he began crying like a worthless ugly loser, Mash's friends entered the house, but Naruto said that he was his rival. Even so, Roger was glad that his son was able to find a rival, but Lemon said that she would be his future fiancée after he mashed her puff with his cream, destroying Naruto's dreams once again. Even so, Naruto gifted him some herbal tea, but Lance thought he could give him something even better, merch of his little sister that he made himself. As they began running around like brain-dead losers, Roger told Finn that he was glad to see Mash with new friends, having watched him grow up on his own. He was happy with his new life and hoped that it would continue forever. Meanwhile, Macaron and his minions were flying towards the house, eager to eliminate Mash. But at that moment, 1,000 swords began raining down on them, but as they maneuvered their way through, they eventually landed on the ground. Right then, Rain appeared before them, and began wondering why they were heading towards Mash's home. As Macaron said he was glad to fight off the Adler dorm leader, he snapped his fingers, summoning a piano instantly. So as he began playing it, musical notes began swirling around the entire place, and Macaron was already caught in a trance. But as he stopped, Rain began wondering if Macaron has lost his mind, seeing as the musical notes were ordinary sounds. Just then, Macaron began saying that he has no desire to become a divine visionary, because he only wants to grow stronger. For this reason, he thought he was better than Rain, so as he prepared for the battle, Rain readied his wand at that instant. Immediately, he launched a dozen swords towards him, but Macaron summoned musical notes to repel them, causing an explosion. Meanwhile, Mash and his friends were playing a board game, and as Naruto threw the dice, the game predicted that he would be scammed of his entire life savings for being a simp, and would live the rest of his worthless life as an ugly, useless brokey. At the same time, Lemon decided to throw the dice, and the game predicted that she would be locked up in a cell for being a crazy, ugly stalker, and would never get her lemons squeezed by Mash's lemon squeezer. When it was Mash's turn, he decided to roll the dice, and the game predicted that he would be executed shortly after his secret is discovered. At that instant, his game character broke in half, but Lemon began screaming that she wouldn't quit until he squeezes all her lemon juice. At the same time, Rain continued launching swords at Macaron, but he destroyed them with musical notes. So as he raised his wand, he summoned howling sounds, overwhelming Rain with a terrible noise. At that instant, musical notes appeared all around him, and Macaron revealed that they would blow him to pieces once he tries to cast a spell. He told him that his only desire was to kill Mash, and asked him to step aside. However, Rain began saying that Mash is a special dude who deserves to be given a chance, and began oozing with a flaming aura. In that moment, a third line stretched down his face, revealing that he's not only chosen by magic itself, but also chosen by the gods. Meanwhile, Mash decided to play the game once more, and as it predicted the same future, he decided to leave the house, but Naruto thought the prediction must have made him sad. However, as Mash ran deep into the forest, he discovered that he was out of sight, and realized he could finally eat his special cream puff without anyone around. Right then, he noticed Rain and Macaron facing off, but Macaron thought he was about to bust for having come across a triple liner. As he began wondering how he would escape without chanting any spells, he unleashed musical notes to destroy him. But at the same time, Weilberg revealed to a special moron that third liners had an ability no one else possessed. It was the ability to awaken the power of the gods laying within the wands, and Rain used that power to repel the musical notes at that instant. While Macaron was wondering how he managed to do so without casting any spells, Rain summoned Ares, the powerful strength of the gods. So as he held his wand, it began transforming into a sword cane, causing black partisan across the sky. So as Macaron summoned Sound's shield, the ground shattered, and a powerful blast went through the forest. As the smoke cleared, it revealed a deep trench in the ground, and Mash appeared at that moment. As he decided to thank him for fighting off Macaron, Rain told him that he was just a rabbit that needed to get chased away. But Mash thought that Rain must really like rabbits, so he told him to win the Divine Visionary Selection exam, seeing as it was only a few days away, and told him that it was the only way to prove himself. Meanwhile, Macaron managed to survive the blast, but with his men already wounded, he decided to retreat in the meantime. That night, Roger apologized for not giving Mash an easier life. However, Mash told him that he's happy to have him as his father, because if it wasn't for him, he would have never survived, and would have never had the chance to be happy making the friends he did. A few days later, while the students were gathered in the arena for the selection exam, Mash began making his way outside. But as Order appeared before him, he told him that he doesn't belong in their world, and would never allow him to be acknowledged. However, Mash decided to reveal his gigachad muscles and began flexing his biceps in his face. But as he began to leave, he told Order that he would defeat him and prove himself. However, as he entered the arena, all the students realized he was the non-magic user and began screaming at him to go home. Thinking that Mash was under great pressure, Finn tried telling him to ignore the noises, but realized that even Mash was ready to go home. However, with all the candidates set, the announcer began revealing that this was an elimination game, and called it a dead or alive exam. Their task was to find the hidden key inside the bladder of a troll goosefish, which could only be popped with magic. At the same time, Dettervents have been prepared to haunt them, so the announcer told them to try and escape from the monsters. This was the only way to make it to the main exam, and as Rafflesian mirrors appeared inside the arena, the announcer revealed that the entire audience would be watching them. As Finn began crying like a hopeless loser, a mysterious door materialized before them, and Mash was teleported inside a new dimension. At the same time, one random loser began wondering how he would find the key, but a giant monster appeared before his eyes, and as he blasted it with a spell, the beast was unscathed. At that moment, the loser realized that the Dettervents are immune to magic, and as it hacked his useless body, he was teleported back to the arena as the first candidate to be disqualified. Just then, Naruto realized that his best hope was to run away from the monsters, but began wondering how he would find the key. As the announcer began saying that the exam was meant to discover how they would survive against a monster that was immune to magic, she screamed for them to run away. However, Mash decided to fight, and punched the Dettervent in the belly, shattering its bowels, and leaving the entire audience stunned. As they realized that the monster was down from a single blow, the random loser thought that Mash was definitely crazy. However, as Mash began thinking he could finally start looking for the key, the Dettervent rose up again, having recovered from the blow. The monster was a phantom, and had been imbued with instant healing magic which helps it to recover from all attacks. So as Mash realized that fighting it was a waste of time, he began running from the beast. Just then, he started shrinking from a magic spell, and after he realized he has grown smaller, a dude revealed himself from a bush. He introduced himself as Max, and as he told Mash that the beasts were highly sensitive to sound, he suggested they stay quiet, and decided to reverse the spell. A few minutes later, Max told Mash that the Dettervents were patrolling the area where the keys were hidden, and suggested they trail them. So as they began following one of the monsters, the mushroom head tripped on a stone, but managed to defy gravity to stop himself from falling. Once the beast was gone, the mentally ill morons began pointing to the giant balloon, and as they realized it's what they've been looking for, Mash suggested they inflate it until it bursts. However, as he touched the bellows, a loud honk went off, and the beast began chasing them. But a few minutes later, they returned again, realizing the bellows actually call for the monsters. Max suggested they destroy the bellows, thinking the key would fall right off, but after doing so, they realized that the key was still inside. As Max tried coming up with a new plan, Mash realized what they had to do. So as Max began following his plan of casting a spell to increase the size of the balloon, Mash started break-dancing towards it, and all the students wondered if he was a moron off his meds. However, as he began spinning around, he created a massive tornado to inflate the balloon, forcing it to increase until it eventually exploded. At the sight of this, the students thought his body was a weapon of mass destruction, but Mash took his key to complete the mission. At the same time, Lance managed to inflate another balloon until it burst, and as he retrieved the key, Naruto retrieved his own, but started running away from a beast. With Mash and Max finally safe from the Dettervent, Mash tried giving Max the key, but he realized that Mash truly was a good-hearted guy, so he told him to keep the key before pointing him towards the exit. He said that Rain already spoke about him and said that he would find his own key, but as Mash ran away, he thanked him. Just then, Max's eye got slashed, and Carpaxio appeared before him. Meanwhile in the arena, nearly all the candidates had arrived, but as Mash appeared, he realized that Naruto was wounded, and as he told him that he managed to also find Finn's key, he collapsed from exhaustion. Right then, Max entered the arena, and as Mash began thinking he made it, the loser passed out on the ground. At that moment, Carpaxio arrived, and the announcer revealed that he's the last candidate to qualify. But he stepped on Max's head and called him a useless ugly weakling who never deserved to become a divine visionary. However, as Mash appeared before him, he threatened to punch his useless face if he didn't stop. But Carpaxio said that he's unstoppable and could do whatever he wants. Just then, a girl appeared with his drink, but as he decided to spill it on Mash's face, saying that weaklings didn't deserve to talk to him, Mash managed to drain it into his cup. Immediately, he made it into a protein shake and gulped it down his throat. And although Mash said that Carpaxio was calling him a weakling, he still hasn't met anyone stronger than himself. Hearing these words, Carpaxio decided to confront him. But as they faced off, the announcer screamed at them to save their fight for the next exam. At that moment, 3 objects materialized above the arena, coloring their robes into 3 separate groups. The announcer revealed that their next exam was called the Life Crystal, and said that their task was to protect their individual crystals while destroying their opponents. One team would be disqualified once their crystals were all broken. But Finn wondered how Lance would cope in a different team. Right then, the crystals descended from above, and as Finn examined his own, he realized that they couldn't afford to break any crystals.
Sensational.
Finn began having a panic attack, thinking they couldn't possibly pass the exam, but Naruto and Mash promised to protect the final crystal. At that instant, they were teleported to another dimension, but as Finn realized he was all by himself, he thought he was definitely screwed. As he began walking through the dimension, he realized that he must protect the crystal until his last breath, but soon spotted an ugly fatso begging Carpaxio for mercy. As he noticed the knife in his shoulder, Carpaxio began moving it inside his body, calling the fatso a weak, talentless loser who doesn't deserve to live. But the sight of it made Finn shiver in fear. At that moment, Carpaxio squashed his crystal, and Finn realized his life would be over if he got spotted. As Carpaxio began to leave, Finn hid behind the wall and decided to make himself invisible. However, as he decided to take another look and realized that Carpaxio was truly gone, he thought his magic must have worked. But at that instant, Carpaxio appeared behind him, wondering why his ugly face was here, and a goddess revealed herself. As Finn realized she was Carpaxio's guardian, she vanished at that instant. Right then, Carpaxio remembered Finn's pathetic face and realized that he was the well-known loser who barely passed the entrance exams. So he commanded him to hand over his crystal, because he was too useless to deserve becoming a divine visionary. Afraid it would be the end of Mash's hopes, Finn realized he couldn't possibly hand it over, but blood spilled out of his body at that instant. Carpaxio told him that he's a weak loser and said he could never escape. On top of that, this was the only way to save himself, so he told Finn to hand over the crystal before he ends his life. However, Finn thought he could create a distraction, so as he raised his wand to cast a spell, he managed to escape while Carpaxio was waiting for the stalactites to fall down. But as he decided to follow him, thinking he would easily catch up, Finn activated his spell, teleporting him deeper into the cave. This was the place he bullied the ugly fatso, and as he discovered that the body was gone, he realized that Finn had switched their positions. At the same time, Finn was running as fast as he could, glad to have put some distance between them. But at that instant, his leg spurted blood and he fell from the injury. As he began hearing Carpaxio's footsteps, he realized he was right behind him and thought it was over for his life. Right then, Carpaxio revealed his knife and stepped on his injured leg, commanding him to hand over his crystal. However, when Finn wouldn't do it, he raised his knife and began piercing his body, causing him to scream in pain. But even with all the pain, he wouldn't surrender, and his memories with Mash began flashing across his mind. He told him that he wouldn't abandon his friend and desperately launched blasts that completely missed. But his blood spurted out of his body, causing him to lose all his strength. Carpaxio told him that he's too weak for anyone to care about him, and said that he was going to finish him off now. As he raised the knife to end his life, all the students realized that Finn was about to get killed. But as he began moving the knife, Mash rushed in and bashed his head into the wall. He said that he wouldn't let his suffering go in vain, and apologized for arriving late. However, as Mash began to leave, he noticed his head was bleeding, but as the goddess statue appeared, Carpaxio told him that he can't feel any pain. As he revealed his special wand, Mash kneed him in the face, but the impact returned to his own face, so Carpaxio told him that his magic transfers his pain to his opponent. When he pierced his own knee, blood spurted out of Mash's leg, while Carpaxio healed instantly. This was the power of his master cane, one of the only 13 ancient wands created in the magic realm, and said that it absorbed the pain from all his wounds. However, this had awakened his desire to want to suffer, but he told Mash that he's far too useless to be a worthy opponent, and began piercing his body to finish him off. As Mash decided to hit him with a blow, he was nearly dazed by the impact. But as Carpaxio healed instantly, he began saying that Mash was hopeless, but he continued landing punches even as the effect repelled him. As he hit him with another blow and landed a kick, an invisible kick knocked him back. Finn thought Mash would eventually wear out, but Carpaxio told them that it was his destiny, and began saying that Finn never even belonged in the academy, seeing as he always needed someone to save his ass. However, Mash thought he was special for not giving up, and told Carpaxio that he would never forgive him for making his efforts seem meaningless. Right then, he prepared a solid punch and bashed his face, but as it deflected, he continued landing a barrage of punches, taking all the impact to his body. As he continued bashing him from side to side, looking to slow down the recovery process, the goddess statue cracked, but Mash intensified his blows, and as more cracks began to appear, Carpaxio realized that the goddess has a recovery limit. But at that moment, Mash landed a massive uppercut, and as the goddess burst into a scream, Mash told Carpaxio that he's 1,000,000 times stronger than him, and wondered if he would also not give up when he shows him how Finn felt. Thinking his body must have been made from iron, Carpaxio began wondering who he really is, but the goddess started transforming into a huge monster and revealed giant syringes. Immediately, it launched several syringes towards the top, and as they began raining down on Mash, he managed to evade them, running around in a zigzag. Carpaxio thought he's finally found a worthy opponent, but as the syringes disappeared, Mash decided to reveal his iron wand. Just then, he began stretching it, and even pulled it to the side, before clawing it with his fingers, and eventually making it into a racket. As he started bouncing an iron ball, he tossed and smacked it like a tennis ball, sending it flying with great speed. But as it hit the goddess, it returned to him, so he smacked it again, dodging the syringes at the same time. As he continued smacking the ball, even the students thought he wasn't human, but he slugged it even harder, and as he successfully cracked the goddess's face, he intensified his strikes. So as the crack increased, Mash knocked it back with a powerful strike, and as he jumped really high, he strengthened his grip on the racket, and smashed the ball with enough force that destroyed the goddess. While Carpaxio was still in shock, Mash appeared before him and smashed his worthless head, spilling all his blood out. So as his heart began throbbing from all the pain, Carpaxio realized that pain actually hurts, and wondered how Finn managed to endure all the pain for someone else. He realized he truly was a special friend, and was glad that he was finally outmatched. Meanwhile, Macaron had come across two other dudes, and commanded them to surrender their crystals immediately. However, as they thought they could defeat him together, they decided to cast a spell at the same time, summoning a giant wolf and rocks for support. But at that moment, Macaron cast his musical notes, and as they killed the monster, they continued towards the men, but they summoned a wolf shield to protect them. However, Macaron's notes destroyed it, and sent the losers sliding away. With the men too drained to even stand, Macaron broke their crystal, and told them that they were no match for him. As he began to leave, the announcer revealed that the exam was over, as one of the teams had already lost all their crystals. So as they returned to the arena, Mash and Naruto began their victory dance. Right then, the entire arena went silent, and Mash realized that Macaron was waiting behind him. But after saying he'll be looking forward to seeing him during the next exam, he decided to leave. At the same time, Caldo appeared beside Wahlberg, wondering why he was rooting for Mash. He thought Macaron was the perfect candidate to become a divine visionary, and told him that Mash stands no chance against him. Meanwhile, in a private room, a random loser tried kissing up to Macaron, and even offered to lace Mash's drink with laxative. But Macaron cast him aside with a finger, and threatened to kill him if he interferes with the contest. He was craving an honorable battle, and even warned Walmart Harry Potter to stay away from the fight. On the other side of the campus, Mash thought the power of friendship would allow him to become a divine visionary, and Naruto was serenading him with a violin. But when Lemon realized she would be an emotional burden on her husband forever, Naruto promised to be the best partner. But she told him to go f himself. Finn wondered what these morons were on. But with Naruto being crushed, Mash realized it was time for his protein shake. And Finn thought he accidentally entered the mental asylum instead of the magical academy.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
Just then, Kaldo appeared behind them, and Mash remembered that he's one of the Divine Visionary. As he suggested they play a game, Mash told him that he intends to rest before the next exam. But when Kaldo began telling them that he's the head of the Magic Talent Administration, and said that Mash couldn't become a Divine Visionary if he doesn't acknowledge him, Mash immediately agreed to the game. As Mash decided to ask what the game was, Kaldo showed him his finger and said that he needed to always look away. Thinking it was easy, Mash told him that he was ready and accepted immediately. At that instant, Kaldo drew a circle around him, saying that he mustn't leave the circle no matter what, and pointed up. So as Mash decided to look down, a blast nearly fried his face from the ground, but he bent over to the other side, managing to keep his gaze away from the finger's direction. For the second round, Kaldo decided to point in two opposite directions, and as two energy blasts appeared from both sides, Mash punched them away. However, for the final round, Kaldo decided to draw his giant sword, and as he threw it above him, he pointed in three different directions. But Finn wondered how Mash would win this round. As he caught the sword, Mash dodged his first slash and began dodging the rest of his strikes while staying in the circle. As he narrowly dodged his swing, he maintained contact with the floor, but as his face was nearly slashed, Mash dug his feet into the ground and jumped towards the roof with the entire circle. But as he landed, a bird snatched his cream puff before flying away, and Mash realized he just failed by looking to the side. However, Kaldo told him that the round was already over and decided to just call it a draw. Even so, he thought he doesn't stand a chance against Makaron. But as he began to leave, he began wondering why Mash was bent on becoming a Divine Visionary, and thought he could eventually win him over to his side. Later that day, with the final exam ready to begin, Mash decided to step out to the arena, and Makaron appeared as his opponent. However, as Mash decided to take out a cream puff, looking to replenish his calories, Makaron revealed his meat and began shoving it to swallow his sticky white cream.
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket.
When Mash tried telling him that swallowing a lot of cream would numb his meat, Makaron told him that he likes his meat to taste numb. Hearing his words, Naruto realized that Makaron was definitely nuts and thought that he must be extremely powerful, since the crazier these fuckers get, the stronger they happen to be. Right then, Makaron revealed his wand, and as Mash prepared for a fight, a powerful energy blasted into the heavens. At that moment, Makaron began oozing with energy, and the effect of his magical power caused Finn to grow sick. And Lance told them that Makaron's power surpassed most of the Divine Visionaries. As Mash began running towards him, Makaron launched an energy blast at him. But as he thought he could repel it, Mash took a stand and tried volleying it back, but the weight pressed down on his hands, making it too heavy for him. As it began forcing Mash towards the wall, it exploded at that instant. But as the dust cleared, they realized that Mash managed to evade it. In an instant, he wrapped his arms around Makaron, and as he flew towards the sky, he began descending with a nasty suplex. However, Mash was unscathed, and Finn realized that the mushroom head ran backwards faster than the spell, and managed to escape getting slammed on the wall. At that moment, the dust cleared, and Mash realized that Makaron was also unscathed. So as Makaron told him that their fight was only starting, Mash readied himself for his next attack. He had no idea that Makaron had created a sound cushion, which helped him to land before slamming into the ground. Just then, Makaron began saying that he intends to enjoy the fight, and fired a blast, but as Mash dodged it, he started running around the arena. So to eliminate him, Makaron continued blasting him, but as he managed to dodge everything, Mash appeared behind him, ready to punch him into nirvana. But as Makaron pointed his wand at his face, Naruto thought that Mash couldn't dodge the close-range attack. However, both men stood still at the same time, and Makaron began wondering what Mash was trying to protect. As Makaron told him that they can't have a proper fight while he was distracted, he decided to give it over to a girl, and Mash wondered if this was the chivalry he's always heard about. However, Finn thought both of them must have lost their minds, and Lance realized that they were still determining each other's powers. At the same time, Kaldo thought that Makaron's second spell would be enough to beat Mash, but wondered why the fuck shock, no one questioned Mash, claiming he used spine magic. At that moment, Macaron decided to unleash Fa Sound, a deafening musical note that formed as a fist. As it rushed towards Mash, he tried to punch through it, but it went through his body, bursting his eardrums in that instant. As Macaron began saying that Mash was no match for him, he launched another Fa Sound that pushed him all the way back, before blasting him with another wave that dragged him back even further. At that instant, his entire brain exploded, and Mash realized that he couldn't dodge the attack. Thinking the battle was a waste, Macaron decided to summon his sound orchestra, looking to end the fight. And as giant horns surrounded Mash, they began emitting a powerful wave of sound that shattered rocks to bits, and even caused the ground to explode. But as the horns disintegrated, Caldo began wondering how Macaron managed to win without using his greatest ability. However, as the smoke cleared, Macaron realized that Mash's body had disappeared. But as he grabbed his ankle, he pulled him into the ground at that instant, nearly burying his entire body. As Mash emerged from the ground, Finn realized that he had dug into the floor right before the sound overwhelmed him, and after managing to dig deeper, the sound waves had completely dissipated. At that moment, Mash prepared his quadriceps magic and hit him with a guillotine kick, sending him flying far away. However, he wasn't finished, so as he landed on top of him, he began bashing his face with a barrage of punches, and all the students thought that Macaron would need even more face surgery to fix his disgusting face. But in an instant, he jumped back, and as the dust cleared, Macaron managed to stand, telling him that he's ready to get serious, and would take him on his true form. Before Mash's eyes, he activated Sound's metamorphosis, casting musical notes around him with a powerful energy that transformed his body and unleashed a blast into the sky. However, when the smoke cleared, Mash realized that Macaron actually transformed into a girl, and Macaron told him that he was ready to unleash his true powers. Meanwhile, Innocent Zero was flying towards the arena and was hoping to see Mash. At the same time, Ryo was wondering how Mash was performing in the exam. But as LeBlanc burst inside, he told him that Innocent Zero was heading towards the arena. Ryo remembered that he had appeared during Mash's trial and thought he was coming for him. Inside the arena, Macaron began telling Mash that this was his true form, but said it only reveals when he unleashes his second. And as he snapped his fingers, he teleported to Mash's side, blowing a kiss that paralyzed his body with a deafening sound. Lemon was about to destroy the entire world. But as Macaron began saying that he can unleash more spells this way, Mash tried landing an uppercut, but he teleported instantly. When Mash wondered where he went, he realized that he had teleported to the top of the arena, and with another snap, he landed a kick on him, sending Mash crashing to the ground. Just then, he began snapping his fingers, teleporting across the entire arena. And while rushing as fast as the speed of sound, Macaron became invisible, because Mash could only catch him if he manages to move faster than sound itself. So as Macaron continued teleporting away from Mash, he kicked him back before following with a jab, and as he punched him up, he knocked him down instantly. However, Mash managed to stand, but as Macaron snapped his fingers once more, he rushed towards him with lightning speed. But as he kicked the wall, he realized that Mash had escaped already. Before he knew it, he appeared next to him, but Macaron wondered how he managed to evade his attack. Mash had intentionally held the wall to feel the snap of his fingers, since sound traveled faster through solid objects than through the air, so he was able to determine his attack before he even got close. After Mash's overpowered ass broke the laws of physics again, Macaron tried snapping his fingers, but discovered that his hand was covered in Mash's white cream, and couldn't possibly make any sound. At that instant, Mash clotheslined Macaron's head, crushing him into the ground. However, as Macaron managed to stand, he told Mash that he has turned out to be a worthy opponent, and decided to summon his second sounds. At that moment, a mighty blast shot into the sky, revealing a giant bell. As Macaron began telling Mash that the sound would incapacitate everyone who hears it, he told him that it's called a death knell. Once it rings out, it would spread across the entire arena, and would turn everyone who hears the sound into a vegetable. The only way to stop the spell was to take Macaron's wand, so Macaron told him that he has only 1 minute to do so. And as he let out those words, he snapped his fingers and began teleporting around the arena. But every time Mash tried to catch him, he teleports away just in time. With 30 seconds left, Macaron continued teleporting, but the bell was already starting to heat up as Mash landed hard on the ground. However, he managed to stand, so before he would lose the battle, he dug his hands into the ground and raised up a giant wall, pushing it down on Macaron. So as he burst through it, Macaron tried escaping to the left side, but as Mash nearly followed him, he decided to move in the opposite direction. Even so, Mash changed his course, and as Macaron realized it was a feint, he thought he already gained enough distance anyway. However, Mash managed to catch him with his pinky, and dragged him all the way back, before smacking off his wand and snapping it instantly. As the bell disintegrated, Macaron realized that he's already lost this fight, and decided to accept defeat. At that moment, all the students were excited about Mash's victory, and even Finn began to cry. Caldo thought he's truly special. But as Mash tried to leave, a powerful tremor overwhelmed the arena, and as a crack appeared in the sky, it shattered, creating an opening in the fabrics of space. And as a dragon emerged, Wahlberg realized that Innocent Zero had arrived. Before their eyes, he raised a finger towards the sky, and froze the entire world at that instant. So as they materialized in the arena, Innocent Zero was glad to come across Mash, calling him his son. With Mash's GigaChad body, he thought he would be complete once he merges with him, but Wahlberg materialized before him, saying that he wouldn't allow him to take Mash away. Just then, a skinny ugly loser began thinking he could eliminate the senile old man, revealing a pair of scissors. But Wahlberg caused a giant axe to appear before his eyes, nearly slicing his worthless body in half. With the loser scared for his life, Wahlberg screamed at them to back off, but Innocent Zero told him that they weren't leaving without Mash. Wondering what his true motive is, Wahlberg decided to ask why he came to take Mash away. So Innocent Zero told him that he intends to become a perfect human. Hearing these words, Wahlberg realized he had truly taken the dark path, so as he revealed his triple lines, he told Innocent Zero that he wouldn't allow him to take Mash away. At that moment, Innocent Zero revealed his own triple lines, as thick red energy began surrounding him. With a staff in hand, Wahlberg decided to summon Uranus, but Innocent Zero summoned Kronos. So as their separate energies surrounded them like a tornado, an army of demons emerged from the ground. Realizing he couldn't slay them on his own, Wahlberg cast a spell at that instant, unfreezing some of the strongest students. When Naruto began wondering what was happening, Wahlberg commanded them to kill all the demons, saying that he would take care of Innocent Zero. Without hesitating, the students attacked the monsters, and Naruto obliterated them with fire, while Lance cast his Gravile, planting them into the ground. At the same time, Caldo was rushing towards a group of monsters, but as he stabbed one of them and realized he was still alive, he unleashed his dark flames, ripping him apart before slicing the others. When two others jumped towards him, Ghetto Harry Potter stabbed them with giant sand stakes. But as he tried telling Caldo to support Wahlberg, more monsters emerged from the ground, and Order realized that Innocent Zero was intentionally trying to stall them. At the same time, Macaron continued obliterating the monsters, and as Caldo cast double slashes, the energy disintegrated the demons. So as Order dodged their attacks, he killed the monsters with sand stakes, but realized they were as strong as double liners. On the far side, Wahlberg decided to teleport to the heavenly dimension, and told Innocent Zero that they can finally start their own battle. Back in the arena, Lance and Naruto spotted a giant thorny tower, and as they noticed Cell Wall on top of it, they remembered that he had knocked them aside only a few weeks ago. At the same time, Caldo and Order also noticed the giant spikes, but Caldo wondered if Cell Wall intends to drop it on the arena. At that moment, a massive tower appeared before their eyes, and Macaron realized they weren't going after Mash, so he knew this was all a trap to capture him. Hearing those words, Naruto screamed for Mash to find Cell Wall, since he was the only one who could defeat him. Immediately, he ran off, but Naruto wondered how he would ever be able to climb up the tower. However, when Mash arrived, he decided to bash the tower with a kick, and the mushroom head began using his broken abilities to chip it piece by piece until there was nothing left of it. As Cell Wall began saying that he was glad to see him again, he told him that his black diamond wouldn't disappear unless he was defeated. However, Mash already forgot who he was. Inside the arena, the boys continued annihilating the monsters, but as more of them kept appearing, Naruto thought it would never end. Just then, he noticed a crying baby, but as he wondered how it appeared, he transformed into a baby at that instant. As the enemy revealed himself, saying that he has the Criminal Cane, one of the 13 evil ancient wands in the magic realm, he revealed that it turns his targets into ugly, filthy infants. Due to this magic, he was certain that Naruto would die as a useless, disgusting baby, but Naruto thought he could blast him with his magic. As he began running away, afraid of entering Nirvana as an ugly crybaby, he spotted Lance before him. But as he tried explaining what happened, Lance jumped away at that instant, managing to escape getting turned into a baby. Just then, he realized that Naruto was transformed through magic, and noticed that his diaper was already soiled. But as the monsters jumped at him, he dodged the attack, and planted them with Gravile. As he tried casting another spell, he discovered that Naruto had crawled away already, but as he tried saving him, he got turned into a baby as well. As a monster attacked them, they managed to dodge him, but as they began chasing a stupid toy, the monster nearly squashed them at that instant. Just then, the loser appeared before them, and began saying that his spell keeps them from using 1/10 of their magical powers. But as he commanded the demons to attack them, Lance managed to cast a tiny Gravile, planting his ugly face into the ground. Even though they had 1/10 of their magical powers, Lance decided to concentrate all of his powers into a small portion to crush his enemy, and Naruto realized how truly powerful his friend was. So as the spell wore off, they transformed back into their true form. Meanwhile, Ryo and LeBlanc were flying towards the arena, and as LeBlanc wondered how Wahlberg and Innocent Zero managed to know each other, Ryo revealed that they were trained by the greatest magic user. He told him that his name was Adam, and said that he was the greatest dark magic user in their entire world, who even created the Magic Academy. Wahlberg and Innocent Zero had been his best students, but Ryo realized that their world would be over if Wahlberg loses to him. At the same time, Innocent Zero decided to reveal his faceless head. But as Wahlberg realized the atrocities he had committed, he decided to grow back his face. He said his only desire was to kill him and take Mash away, so he can achieve his self-embodiment of perfection. So as he decided to cast the Living Dead spell, summoning a mystical clock and an ancient coffin, Wahlberg realized that he intends to use one of the forbidden spells. At the same time, Cell Wall was angry that Mash had no more memories of him, and nearly crushed him with a lance, before threatening to execute all his friends. So he launched more lances at him, causing an explosion. But as Mash managed to escape, he began running over the lances, making Cell Wall grow angrier. And as Mash managed to maneuver his way through, he landed a heavy blow, sending the loser crashing. The other time they faced off, Mash had barely managed to defend his attacks, and Cell Wall wondered how he grew so strong already. In the sky, as the chains of the ancient coffin started splitting, it opened to reveal the body of Adam. While Wahlberg was in shock at the sight, Innocent Zero began saying that he's managed to acquire the magic that restores life from fragments of flesh. But even though he couldn't restore their master's consciousness, it was still enough to destroy Wahlberg. At that moment, an ugly loser began pulling Adam's strings. He was Necros, and he revealed that he would be Adam's puppet master. He wondered if Wahlberg could attack the body of his former master and unleash dark energy on him. But as Wahlberg managed to shield it, he realized it was Adam's true powers, but repelled it anyway. Wahlberg told them that he would protect the magic realm no matter what, but Necros unleashed Dark Impact, blasting a hole through a mountain. However, with Wahlberg unscathed by the attack, Necros launched Dark Snake, eventually burning Wahlberg's robe. At the sight of this, Wahlberg realized that Necros had awakened Adam's magical powers from the time he was in his prime. And with Adam's dark magic renowned for obliterating everything it touches, Necros had expected that Wahlberg's magic would be sent into a void. For this reason, Wahlberg had decided to dodge the Dark Snake, but Necros thought he would eventually succumb to his attacks. So he unleashed double Dark Snakes, but as they overwhelmed Wahlberg, he obliterated it. However, Necros wouldn't stop, and decided to unleash another Dark Impact. But Wahlberg released his light crystals to cut through the energy and rip into Necros's body. At that moment, the disgusting creep realized that half of his body had been sliced off. While he was screaming like a loser, Wahlberg decided to reveal that his magic controls space, and said that half of his horrendous face has been teleported to another dimension. His light crystals had actually carved out an entire space to successfully teleport the dark magic. But Necros thought he could blast him with more magic than he could cut out. So he unleashed absolute Dark Impact, but Wahlberg dispelled it at that instant. As Necros wondered how he managed to grow stronger than his own master, he decided to release a massive energy that nearly took over the skies. But as he directed it towards Wahlberg, thinking it would obliterate him this time, Wahlberg awakened his own magic. As he told him that he's only been using the wand's magic, he opened a portal with the light crystals and unleashed Space Sacrifice, absorbing all the dark energy in an instant, and even swallowing up the loser before he could escape. So with the nuisance gone, Wahlberg told Innocent Zero to prepare for the real battle. Meanwhile, Mash decided to ask Cell Wall why Innocent Zero was trying to capture him, so he began telling him that Innocent Zero actually created him using dark magic, for the purpose of activating the forbidden spell of immortality. by sacrificing 6 blood relatives, Innocent Zero would become immortal. So he revealed that Mash was one of his children, and that he also had 5 other brothers, whose only purpose was to be a vessel for nurturing Innocent Zero's immortal heart. This was the purpose for his existence, and as Mash grew disappointed, Cell Wall told him that he's a small insignificant part of something special. However, Mash thought his words made his life heavy and sad. But as he woke up again, he realized it wasn't a dream, and wondered if he was one of the brothers. Cell Wall told him that he wasn't, but revealed that he's a clone created by Innocent Zero's own blood, and that his entire existence was to help him to possess Mash's body. He thought it was the greatest honor of his worthless life, but as he began saying that Mash's life was far more useless than his own, Mash punched his disgusting face, knocking him to the ground. He told him that he controls his own destiny, and asked Cell Wall to attack him with all his magical powers. Deciding to unleash it, Cell Wall activated his triple lines, and as he summoned Hephaestus, massive energy burst out of him, revealing huge diamond cutters. Cell Wall told him that this was the full power of his wand, and caused the energy to shoot into the sky. He told Mash that his heart was the only important part of his body, and threatened to slice him until there was nothing left. So as he directed the diamond cutters, Mash luckily dodged them, but Cell Wall told him that they wouldn't stop until he's cut to pieces. As Mash dodged them again, he noticed a cut on his face, but continued evading them with his incredible flexibility. As he began running at Cell Wall, a cutter nearly sliced his body, and as he realized that Cell Wall has 2 more cutters to protect him, Mash realized it was dangerous. But Cell Wall cast lightning at the black diamond, and threatened to kill everyone in the arena if Mash tries to run away. Just then, he launched the cutters, but just as it nearly touched Mash's body, he took off instantly, and Cell Wall wondered if he was abandoning his friends. Before he knew it, Mash appeared behind him, revealing that he actually did a loop around the academy to shake off the discs. So as he realized he intends to sacrifice both of them, Cell Wall decided to turn his skin into diamond. At that moment, the cutters sliced Mash's body, spilling his blood on the ground. As Cell Wall thought he won, he began kicking his face, but soon realized he's actually stepping on a cream puff. Just then, Mash stood up, and as he began stuffing his mouth with cream puffs, Cell Wall swallowed all of Mash's sticky white cream. As he began losing consciousness, Mash held him tighter in a choke hold, because right before the cutters hit him, he had put pressure on Cell Wall's carotid artery, and managed to cut off his oxygen supply, causing the discs to disintegrate just as he passed out. At the same time, the black diamond shattered to bits, so as he dumped his useless body, Mash told him that he would protect the academy until his last breath. Meanwhile, Ryo and LeBlanc were still flying towards the academy, but as soon as they reached the boundary, LeBlanc's worthless body froze up at that instant. But as Ryo managed to stop, he discovered that even the birds were frozen. At that moment, he realized that Innocent Zero must have froze all time, so with LeBlanc completely useless, Ryo decided to abandon him. As he arrived inside the arena, and came across the others, he began wondering if Mash was safe. When they told him that he was, he realized that Mash was eating a cream puff, and noticed that Cell Wall had been knocked unconscious. Just then, Caldo revealed that Wahlberg was fighting Innocent Zero on his own, and had teleported to another dimension. As he let out those words, Mash offered to find them, revealing that he would do so with his muscles, before running off immediately. However, Order thought he couldn't possibly find them since he has no magic detection, and began advancing towards Cell Wall to arrest him. But as he tried to capture him, a barrier deflected the sand, and he teleported before their eyes. As they began wondering how he managed to escape, Macaron told them that the loser was truly unconscious, and revealed that one of Innocent Zero's minions had cast the transfer spell. At that moment, they realized the enemy must be close, so Order suggested they find him. However, when Ryo thought it could be a diversion, Caldo told the students to protect the arena. In the middle of the sky, as Innocent Zero activated Time's Cold to freeze time, Wahlberg teleported himself to another dimension, but reappeared behind him. As he thought he could end him, he released his light crystals, and cast Space Bout to erase him. But as Innocent Zero materialized behind him, Wahlberg began wondering how he managed to manipulate time before his spell. Immediately, Innocent Zero activated Time Rewound, sealing a time spell on Wahlberg's body, and as the clock ran, it began draining the life out of his arm, and even covered half of his face. As Innocent Zero told him that he would drain his entire body, Wahlberg discovered that he was exploiting the openings of his attack, and realized that he has grown twice as strong as before. Even so, he decided to cut out the entire space frame, and cast Space Bout Stampede, a blinding light that spread around Innocent Zero. So as Wahlberg began slashing across his body, desperate to stop him from freezing time, the light crystals continued cutting through space, but as the lights began to shrink, it eventually disintegrated. The magic caused Wahlberg to grow exhausted, but as he began thinking that Innocent Zero was just isekai'd, the menace appeared behind him yet again. The sight of him caused Wahlberg to grow afraid, and as he wondered how he managed to survive, he realized that Innocent Zero must have frozen time right before he carved out the entire space. At that moment, Innocent Zero cast another time rewound, and blew off Wahlberg's entire arm. He began saying that he's grown a lot stronger, and revealed that he's spent these past years enhancing his magical powers. For Wahlberg, he thought he grew weaker from trying to protect everyone, and told him to be ready for a permanent retirement. But Wahlberg thought that living means to protect others. When he was younger, he had been a weak and worthless loser, and had spent every day locked up inside his room. His only friends were his books, because he was too ugly to be noticed by anyone. However, Adam had showed up inside his room, and had tried persuading him to enroll at school. So when Wahlberg wouldn't listen, he would show up every day like a homeless loser, asking random questions just to keep talking to him. Eventually, Wahlberg decided to ask why he continued returning, so Adam told him that he could not leave him alone. These words had changed Wahlberg's life forever, and had awakened the desire to want to save everyone. Right then, Wahlberg unleashed energy waves, ready to sacrifice both of their lives. So as he raised his staff, he activated his space thirds, and a huge space cutter began expanding, before eventually splitting into smaller space boards. So as Wahlberg summoned Uranus Inclination, he revealed that it was the god of the sky, and told Innocent Zero that it has the most powerful space carving magic. When Innocent Zero tried casting Time's Cold, the space boards overwhelmed his spell instantly. Wahlberg revealed that all spells within this space would be transferred to another dimension, so he would no longer be able to escape. Right then, he released a light into Uranus, and as a new space began rotating, Wahlberg revealed that he was willing to sacrifice both of their lives. However, Innocent Zero managed to freeze Uranus, stopping time within the entire space. As he cast a dozen lances towards him, it pierced Wahlberg, and he told him that he would die soon. But at that moment, he realized that the space was still rotating, so Wahlberg revealed that even if he were to die, the third spell was releasing the power of the gods, not his own, so it could never be stopped. Wahlberg had been saving up his magical power to unleash it into his staff, and as the massive energy overwhelmed him, he revealed that he's willing to sacrifice his own life to allow non-magic users to live peacefully. This was his dream ever since Adam managed to convince him to enroll at school, the statement that he called noblesse oblige, where the strong help the weak, and he had spent his entire life waiting to see the day it starts to happen. So as the light grew brighter, it absorbed everything, before expanding into a giant light ball. Caldo saw the spatial magic, and Ryo realized that Wahlberg must have activated one of the greatest spells in the realm. But at that moment, it began to shrink until it completely vanished. As Wahlberg realized that Innocent Zero was still alive, and that the spell hasn't been activated, Innocent Zero summoned 1,000 lances and directed them towards him. But as he wiped them out with Space Bout, one of them pierced his body, causing his staff to fall off. While he nearly fell from exhaustion, Innocent Zero caught him, and began saying that he's grown much stronger than him. So as he was ready to end Wahlberg's life, the man grew sad, realizing that he would never see his dream play out before his eyes. But as Innocent Zero tried to end him, Mashle kneed his worthless face, sending the lance flying off. With Wahlberg shocked at the sight of him, Mashle remembered Wahlberg asking him during the entrance exam what he would do if he faced someone that overwhelmingly overpowered him, so he reminded him that he would smash their faces with his fist. Back in the arena, Caldo realized that Innocent Zero must have turned back time to cancel Wahlberg's magic, so Ryo decided to summon his broom, offering to join Wahlberg for support. At the same time, Innocent Zero already recovered from Mashle's attack, so as he thought it was the perfect opportunity, he tried telling Mashle to follow him. However, when Mashle would not do so, Innocent Zero revealed that he would forcefully take him away. So as a dark cloud began spreading from his cloak, it overwhelmed them at that instant, trapping them inside thick darkness. At that moment, Innocent Zero began to absorb Wahlberg's magic, revealing that he's acquired the ability to steal anyone's magical powers. However, Mashle managed to break out of the barrier, rescuing Wahlberg before he entered Nirvana. Before their eyes, Innocent Zero summoned Wahlberg's light crystals, and Wahlberg realized he's acquired the power to cut through space. At that instant, Innocent Zero activated Space Sacrifice and blasted a hole through a mountain. At the sight of this, Wahlberg realized they were screwed, and thought Innocent Zero's magic made the space blast twice as powerful. As Innocent Zero began saying that he's gained control over the entire world, he revealed that his final desire was to acquire Mash's body. Immediately, Mash kneed him in the face, and followed with a barrage of kicks and punches before pounding his body. However, as Innocent Zero was unfazed, he managed to catch his punch this time. But as Mash withdrew and tried attacking again, the darkness wrapped his foot, but he escaped immediately. As Innocent Zero began oozing with a dark aura, he told Mash that he's definitely taking him back to his dimension. Right then, his body began forming cubes, and Wahlberg revealed that his body has grown too weak to contain his magical powers. For this reason, he was desiring to have Mash's body so that he would become a perfect human who has a strong physical body to hold all the magic. At that moment, he cut a large hole through space, looking to obliterate Wahlberg, but Mash narrowly rescued him, and told Innocent Zero that he would defeat him with his muscles, seeing as he's now the strongest magic user in the entire realm. However, Innocent Zero decided to shatter the space frame, saying that he would return to reclaim Mash's body, before casting a dark spell towards the academy, and causing it to disperse. So as the fragments touched the demons, it disintegrated their bodies, but Macaron realized that it couldn't possibly be transfer magic. Right then, the souls of all the demons combined into a giant monster, so Innocent Zero called it his parting gift, but wondered if Mash could even kill it. As he vanished into another dimension, Wahlberg grew too weak and began falling towards the forest, but Ryo managed to catch him inside a bubble. Meanwhile, Mash was already running back to the academy, hoping to reach it before the monster destroys the entire place. But at the same time, the time spell had been removed, and all the students began wondering what happened. As they spotted the monster, they thought they were going to meet their maker, and as it punched the wall, huge rubble began flying into the arena, and Finn's life was already flashing before his eyes. But at the last moment, Lance heard his sister screaming for help, and the sound of her voice inspired him to catch the rubble with Gravile, thanking Anna for always inspiring him. Naruto wondered what the fuck that cutscene was, and thought it was disgusting that he broke the fourth wall just to see his fantasies. Just then, Macaron destroyed the rubble with musical notes, and screamed for the students to escape. But at the same time, the monster began approaching the arena, and Finn thought they are hopeless. However, Naruto decided to blast it with fireballs, but a barrier repelled his attack. As Caldo realized that the same barrier had protected Cell Wall from getting arrested, he revealed that Innocent Zero's surviving minion must still be close. And even though Order had gone in search for him, Caldo hoped that he would find the spellcaster before the monster destroys the school. Just then, the students realized that the exit has been sealed, but Rain decided to support Macaron. As the monster peeped into the arena, all the students began crying for their worthless lives, but as the demon ready to punch to destroy them, they realized it was being pulled back. Mash had managed to grab onto the chains, and as his friends decided to take a look, they realized he was playing tug of fucking war with their lives on the line. Finn thought that ever since he met Mash, he had always felt this way, but he needed way too much plot armor to win this time. Right then, the other students also gathered to look, and began wondering how he was so strong without any magic. They wondered if someone like him could be the top of their academy, seeing as he's a non-magic user. But as they noticed his desperate effort to protect them, they realized that it didn't matter. He had managed to do something that no one else could do, and was even fighting to protect the entire school. At that moment, they began screaming for support, and Finn realized that Mash has managed to achieve his dream of being supported as a non-magic user. So as he grew proud of him, he decided to scream that Mash can do it. At that instant, Mash's innate powers awakened, so he lifted the fucking giant monster, swinging it around in the air, and throwing it at a mountain to blow him up. All the students began cheering for him, and Finn was glad to see him in the forest. But as Lemon appeared at the same time, she began asking Mash if he's finally ready to cream her puff. Later that day, when Wahlberg woke up, Ryo told him that Mash managed to eliminate the demon, and Wahlberg realized he might be the embodiment of Noblesse Oblige, who was the special human that was destined to bring equality into the magic realm. At the same time, Caldo had managed to blast Innocent Zero's last surviving minion, but Order immediately covered him up with sand, squeezing the life out of him at that instant. So as he appeared before them, he began wondering if Caldo would take sides with Mash. He revealed that he hasn't changed his mind about him, and said he still hates Mash's ugly face. At that moment, Caldo began to leave, but told him that Mash was a special human, and that he wouldn't hate him. Within a few days, news had begun to spread across the entire world, revealing that Innocent Zero attacked the Magic Academy. However, no one recognized Mash's victory in the battle, and the school had kept it a secret to kill any threat of a protest from the people. Mash, being the only one who knew the truth, was burdened by this grave knowledge, so he went to the beach. But while Mash and Naruto were playing in the water, Finn began wondering why the Divine Visionaries still intend to kick Mash out of the academy, even though he had saved the magic realm. Order had managed to persuade the others to try and expel him, but Lemon wondered why they wouldn't just leave him alone. Right then, they discovered that Wahlberg was seated behind them, having come for the summer break. As he began telling them that Mash would never be safe until Innocent Zero was dead, he revealed that Innocent Zero has acquired the most powerful time magic in the world, and even his own spatial magic for cutting through space. The combination of these powers, which was boosted by forbidden magic, have made Innocent Zero the greatest magic user in the history of the magic realm. Additionally, he had created 5 blood brothers that might be even stronger than Wahlberg. He had never expected that Innocent Zero would grow so much stronger, so he told them that in the 14 million possible universes that existed, there was only one where they would be able to win. However, he thought only Mash could actually give them a real fight, and could even destroy the strongest of magics. As Lemon tried saying that it would be an overwhelming challenge for him, Mash told them that he would never lose, and would even graduate from the academy. However, when Lance told him that the end of semester exams were close, and that he would be expelled from the academy if he fails even one of them, Mash began having a panic attack, realizing he wasn't close to being ready for the exams. So a few days later, after Lemon decided to give him a mock exam, she revealed that he scored worse than a 4th grader taking a college exam. And with Mash being brain dead, Finn wondered if there was any hopes of seeing him pass the exams. However, when Naruto revealed that he's actually been studying and offered to help Mash study, Mash realized he was the only worthless loser, and the realization made him feel even worse. Eventually, they decided to begin the tutoring, but as it went on, Mash's empty brain got overwhelmed, and began to overheat from all the information until it exploded. However, after managing to cool off, Mash resumed his study, but when he realized he wasn't learning shit, he took off towards the window and jumped outside instantly. Thinking he may have gone nuts, Finn suggested they search for him, but Lance said that he would never waste his time on a coward that runs away, especially if that was the kind of person Mash was. But even so, Finn realized he wouldn't abandon him, the same way Mash was always there for him. After arriving in the forest, he discovered that Mash had nearly buried his entire body, and Mash apologized because studying was the one thing he couldn't do. However, Finn thought this wasn't like him, since the Mash he knew was able to defeat the impossible, and he wanted to be able to graduate with him. Hearing those words, Mash realized that he was being pathetic, so he rose out of the ground, saying that he would try his best. Before long, they returned to the class, and Mash apologized for running away. However, Naruto thought he was too tired now, but as soon as Lemon said she'd reward Mash with her citrus juices, the simp wondered if he could also get some if he helped Mash. So as they decided to continue the tutoring, and spent the next few days doing so, Mash ate his cream puffs to keep going. But on the day of the exams, he realized that he couldn't remember anything, and thought he would certainly get expelled. However, when the teacher summoned him for his results, he discovered that he managed to barely pass, and his friends thought he was very lucky. At that moment, Bamboo Man entered the class, and began screaming the words bamboo over and over. However, Lance knew exactly what he was saying, and as the mentally ill moron kept spamming the bamboo button, they realized he was saying that a crowd was standing outside, screaming that the news of Mash being magicless had spread across the realm. So all of them were here now, screaming for Mash to be expelled. However, Lemon decided to step out, and screamed for them to hold on for a second. After they went silent, she began saying that Mash's worth doesn't depend on his magic skills, and that he has the greatest back-breaking moves when creaming her puff. However, Lemon tried saying that he's special, even calling herself his wife, but when the people continued screaming for his expulsion, Naruto appeared before them, introducing himself as Mash's agent. He began saying that it was truly an honor to meet all of them, but had only one thing to say.
キルユー以上。
なんでややこしくしてるんだ。
The people grew even angrier, and an ugly, worthless loser began calling them criminals for defending Mash. Immediately, he hurled a stone at Lemon, but Lance stopped Mash from going outside, saying it would make the situation worse. As Lemon began screaming that she would take Mash's punishment, remembering that he saved her during their entrance exam, she told them that she believes in him and would support him because he's a good person. However, the ugly loser thought he would become famous if he captures him, so he began calling her a sinner and called on the others to kill her. Without hesitating, they started hurling stones at her, but as Mash caught it at that instant, he began catching everything with lightning speed, before throwing them away. However, the ugly loser was glad to see him, and thinking it would be easy to capture him, he summoned Prison Wall, trapping Mash inside the steel cage. He thought he would be trapped inside the thick steel forever, but he had no idea what the this mushroom head was capable of, and Mash began punching through the steel until the door fell open. So he threw the cage really high, and as it trapped the loser inside, the door sealed him shut instantly. Mash began telling them that he would never quit, and said he would eventually become the strongest man in the entire realm. Just then, Wahlberg materialized before them and announced that Mash's fate would be decided after the Divine Visionary exams. For this reason, he suggested they wait patiently, but told Mash that most people wouldn't dream of a single friend who would stand up to an entire nation for him, yet he had 4 of them on his side. Hearing these words, Mash's determination began to grow, and he announced that he would definitely become a Divine Visionary. Wahlberg told him that passing the exams was the only way to become one, and said his friends would be abandoned by the realm if he fails.
何が来ようともボコボコにしてあげますよ。プーパンで。
Watch this next video. Till next time, my fellow legendary plot masters.